New loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Yeah, I got a little too. How does that feel?
It's really cold. Yeah, I don't like it.
That's Alec Burleson last night after getting Gatorade dumped on him because I got to tell you, after all the trades and everything yesterday, the game was really entertaining against the New York Yankees. The Cardinals held the lead, and you knew they were going to blow the lead, right, Fred? They were up 6-2. I mean, it was a guarantee that when the bullpen came in, things were going to get tighter. I had no doubt. So I was kind of battling via text message with John Sullivan, John and Jeannie of Pet Supplies Plus. John's a New Yorker. He's a big Yankees fan.
Oh, yeah.
He's already calling me out because I just barely said that if the Cardinals are out of it, I could root for the Brewers. I have some ties up there, and I have my wife. But, boy, he's calling me out for that. So I had to be careful last night because I knew that the Yankees could win. But then, I don't know if you know what happened, Sue. It was just a sea of home runs.
Yes, it was fun.
To end the game. And Burleson did he have 3 last night?
Yeah, had 3 last night, yep.
Okay, we got to start with this just because it's fun and it's Election Day and everything. But what the hell? Here's number 1. Rooney's doing great calls here.
The pitch. A swing, and there's a drive to right field. That ball's going to leave the yard. A 2-run homer for Alec Burleson. And the Cardinals are on the board with 1 out in the first inning.
Yeah, so it started off real well. Claibs was doing the game with Rooney last night. Ricky Horton was off.
He holds the bat high over his shoulder. Waits on the pitch and turns on the pitch down the right field line. This ball is gone. As Alec Burleson with a 2-home-run night tacks on 2 more runs for the Cardinals, and the Redbirds are now leading 6-0.
Okay, he's not through, though. Here we go. 1 more before the game is over.
The pitch to Burleson. A swing! There it goes! There's his 3rd home run tonight! Unbelievable! Oh, baby, what a swing! A 2-run homer for Burleson. 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. Yes, he got his 18th home run in this series. He got it in this game. A 3-homer night.
Oh, great calls from Rooney there. That is amazing. And there's only been a handful of players that have done 4 home runs, so he was close to that. But the Cardinals ended up winning that game. What was it, 13-7?
Mm-hmm.
They ran up the score at the end of the game, and that was great to see. So, one of the things, we'll talk about this as we, I'll even bring this up with Scott Jennings, who's going to join us here in the first segment. The folks I know up in Milwaukee, Fred, and even some of the talk show hosts up there, they think they got fleeced on this deal where they gave up these 2 prospects and then they get Dustin May and JoJo Romero. I think personally they're underestimating the contribution that Romero in particular could offer the Brewers. But Dustin May's had some solid starts. What do you think, in the aftermath, 24 hours later, or almost 24 hours later, Ethan, what's the takeaway from all that?
Clapping.
Yeah, really good, right?
That is me clapping. I am ecstatic with the returns that they got, specifically in the Dustin May, JoJo Romero trade. When you look at what they gave up, 2 guys that are on expiring contracts, they brought in 2 pieces that automatically get implemented into the top 10 in their farm system. This Alexander Frias guy is only 18 years old. Some different outlets have him as a top 50 prospect in baseball already. He goes into the Cardinal system at number 4. And, has some power in his swing, has some speed. Both of these guys, great potential in the outfield, good power swing combination. So it's just all about adding lottery tickets into the system. The more you have, the better chance you have for more of them to be able to hit.
But on a kid that's in the system that's 18 years old, I mean, what's the reality of his, path to the bigs?
It's going to take a little bit of time. He's only in single A right now. So, I mean, the Cardinals have several guys that are at that young of an age. But here's the good part of this is that the Brewers have one of the best farm systems in Major League Baseball. So you know that the work that they were doing with those guys was legitimate, and you bring them into a Cardinals system that has been newly revamped. The Cardinals have a couple of guys right now that are that young and are performing at the minor league level. Their number one prospect right now is only 19, and he's already in Double-A. So this is the new day and age of baseball where these guys are getting to the majors at a younger age than ever. I'm not saying that any of these guys are going to be there next year necessarily, but we could be talking about these guys in their age 20, 21 seasons being a part of the Cardinals Major League roster.
Well, that's fun. I'd say that we did pretty well. Some of the grades out there by the so-called experts were really good on the trades as well. All right, so it's Election Day. Fred, did you vote today? You did, right?
I did this morning.
I did this morning, went to Rockwood Summit. One of the first things that I did as well. Sue, did you vote today? Or
I
you voted?
did.
Okay. I had a fair amount of people. I mean, for a primary election, there were just, I don't know, maybe 20 people voting. You said, Fred, you didn't see a lot of people at your polling place.
Yeah, I went to Zion United Methodist Church on Union Road, right near 55. And I got there about 7 a.m., and I was the only one. I mean, I didn't have to wait in line. People had gone already before me, but there was no line at all.
Yeah. You had to wait a little bit?
I did at 10:30.
Where did you go?
The one off of Telegraph by me, another school. I can't
Porter
tell you.
School?
Yeah, that's the one. And I was there. I had 2 nuns in front of me and 5 people in front of them, but the line was moving.
I was in the line to get my ballot, and there was, I don't know, they ran out of paper at first, okay?
What?
And you know how patient I am.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, there's like 5 little stations, and they send me to the station that has, no papers. So then they put the paper in, and I'm not saying anything. I'm just sitting there, right? And then she goes, Mike? I'm like, nope. And then she says, Mike? Nope. So then finally they got me the right ballot. Now, I took a Democrat ballot. I'm going to be honest about something else. I voted against 4 because I just was frustrated. Amendment 4, I want the initiative petition process to change. I don't think that was the best option to make it, majority in all the congressional districts. I understand the point. I've been talking about the initiative petition process in Missouri since the 1980s.
Yes.
So I'm quite familiar with it. But you know what? It's going to fail, so I voted no on that. I did vote yes on 5, even though that's going to fail as well. But when I pulled the Democrat ballot, the reason I did that is to vote for St. Louis County Executive, because I think Brian Williams is a better choice than Jake Zimmerman, although, that's just a guess at this point. Now, if you're in St. Charles, I mentioned this, there's some Senate races, some state Senate races, things like that if you're a Democrat, you might want to vote in, but you don't have to, and you can vote and take an R ballot and vote for Steve Ellman or Jason Law or Bill Eigel. So that's something that is possible. And you just do that. They're not supposed to know, because the screen, you guys probably had this too. You have to sign, and then there's a screen that tells you, ask you the question, what ballot do you want, right? And you can anonymously choose that. However, here's what I say about that is when they were handing me my ballot, or Mike, that you could clearly see on the top of the ballot that it said Democrat, right? So, because I told Becky, I'm like, I said, you can pull a Democrat ballot. She's like, I don't want to do that. Like, what if someone hears me? I'm like, oh, I get it, but they're not supposed to hear you. So just keep that in mind when you vote. We'll see what turnout's like. Look, I'm going to host the election coverage tonight. We're going to take an hour off between 6 and 7 o'clock, and then at 7, we'll be handling the election coverage. Former State Senator John Lamping is going to be with me. He joined us last night, handicapping some of these races. We're going to keep a close eye on what's happening in Michigan with that Senate primary. Mike Rogers will be the Republican nominee in November, but this race between Abdul El Sayed and who, by the way, like, this guy's supposedly a doctor. He's not even a doctor. He's like not really a doctor. And he's a doctor technically, but he's never really done anything when it comes to like practicing medicine. So that's kind of a joke. Haley Stevens is allegedly the moderate in that race. So here's the 2 things that could happen there. If El Sayed wins, he's like the socialist, the communist. He's out there on the fringes. Israel has no right to exist. So he'll be in a position with Mike Rogers where you would think that would be easier for Rogers to win, although the polling is very close on both candidates. Haley Stevens, she's the establishment Democrat, but she's still crazy. So I don't think you really have a better choice there. If you're a Republican, you're going to hope that Mike Rogers can hold that seat. So we'll talk about that tonight. Now, I want to touch a little bit on Wisconsin here because this is crazy. There's a woman named Francesca Hong who is now the prohibitive favorite to be the Democrat nominee in Wisconsin. They don't vote today. They vote next week. That's when their primary is. And so I don't know if you heard the story about her today, but she thinks maybe we shouldn't have Thanksgiving. So that's what the Democrats are putting forward in Wisconsin. And she's going to win this Democrat nomination. Check this out.
Do you still believe that Thanksgiving should be canceled?
Bringing folks around the table to share conversation and build community is always a good thing. But Thanksgiving is also a time that's incredibly painful for many people in our communities.
No, it's not. And if Thanksgiving is painful for you and your community, move your community to another country. Leave this country. We do not want, I'm just going to tell you, we don't want you here, okay? I don't want you here. That's utterly ridiculous that she's saying that somehow people are affected by Thanksgiving. Now, I'll give Caitlin Collins, the woman who never smiles, a little credit there. She's the one who asked that question. And I was surprised by that. Hong goes on with Dana Perino, too.
It's going to be very easy for people to put up on the board and say, you said abolish the Senate, defund the police, abolish the police. And why should they not believe that you would want to do that you would try to do that if you became governor?
I believe that people can evolve. We meet Trump voters from previous elections who now would like to vote for me, who have a sign in their yard. And as governor, I cannot defund the police. And I've reminded folks that I won't defund the police.
Well, she's out there with the radical positions. She's going to be a lot of fun. I hope she wins. I really do. Kind of in the same way I hope Corey beats Wesley today, but we're going to talk about that.
I can't do it. You can't wish that. That's complete insanity. I know it's selfish. You want it for the show, but it's crazy.
Well, and I don't think in the end she wins, but yeah.
I hope not.
We'll talk about that and more with Scott Jennings coming up next.
On the roads, we've got some volume out there, and on westbound 6440, it's a little bit at Clayton Skinker, little bit at 270, and more out at Prospect. Southbound 270, a little bit of volume headed down toward Doherty Ferry. It's mainly moderate. Southbound 55, some moderate volume south of M. On the Illinois side, eastbound 5570. And westbound, they're both kind of slow at 111. That is due to road work. And there was an accident on northbound 255 approaching 55 that has caused a delay as well. This report brought to you by Point Within E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Just to close the loop on El Sayed, so he holds a medical degree, an MD, but he has never completed a medical residency or held a traditional clinic license to practice medicine on patients. So he earned his degree from Columbia University. He earned his doctorate in public health from the University of Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar. He's worked as a public health official, but never as a doctor. He's like Faisal Khan of Michigan, if you will. But it's just utterly ridiculous because people think it's kind of like Dr. Jill, maybe just a little bit, because people have to know that he's a doctor. That's important.
What's the temperature in here?
You know, I like to start my day with 4 mini donuts, the powdered sugar variety. I've kind of gone back and forth between the chocolate and the powdered sugar, but it's donuts. It's not the other brand. I bring this up because my nutrition is probably not the best all the time. I love sugar and can't get enough of it. But what I do to kind of balance some of this is I use daily vitamins from Neovitin. These are great vitamins. They have a lot of different options for you. I take the men's 50 plus because of my age. They have women's 50 plus, the regular formula for men and for women. They have all the right stuff to help you fill the nutritional gaps. No matter how well you think you're eating, you still have those gaps. This will make sure you're getting the right vitamins and minerals. It was actually formulated by a physician. It was Dr. Ken Ribicki who invented this because he felt as he was getting into his 50s, there was nothing on the market that could really provide him with what he was interested in when it came to nutrition. So if you're ready to support your daily nutrition, you can sign up for a subscription, save 10% with free shipping. You can pause or cancel anytime. You can also buy in bulk online. And if you're stubborn and if you want to pay more at a store, they have a store locator on the website as well. It's all neovitin.com. You know, on the topic of Michigan and El Sayed and that other crazy person up there, Haley Stevens, our friend Ryan Recker, who fills in for me from time to time from up there in Detroit, he's going to join us at the bottom of the hour, his take on that race and the rest of politics right now. Our friend Scott Jennings back with us this afternoon on 97.1 FM Talk. You typically hear his show every weekday at 8 p.m. Jennings, how are you?
I'm great. Back in the land of the living here. I've been out west, Mark. I've been in the Grand Tetons, Yellowstone, beautiful country out there.
Yeah, you were here for the baseball games. We went a couple of weekends ago, and then I think you kind of took off. So were you off CNN all last week?
I was, for the most part. I think I did one thing while I was out west. But for the most part, took some time off and saw a couple of national parks I hadn't seen and had a great time.
I love that. I haven't done a lot of that out west because my ex-wife did it with my boys, but I really want to do it with Alexa because there's so many things in this country I want to see to kind of check off my list. Okay. I shouldn't say we're. I am preempting you tonight, Jennings, on 97.1 FM Talk because this is election day in Missouri. It's primary day. I'm handling the election coverage tonight, so I apologize that your show will not be heard tonight. But obviously, I think you know that we had a couple of races here that are interesting. One is Amendment 5. Governor Kehoe has made this really a big part of his goals to phase out the income tax. We also have Cori Bush and Wesley Bell facing off against one another again in the 1st District here in St. Louis. So, Scott, on Amendment 5, I wish I could tell you that was going to pass. I think it's going to get crushed. You know, it wasn't marketed very well, and a lot of conservatives are going to vote against that, which is a little shocking to me. On Cori and Wesley, I think Cori's got a shot. I think most people think that Wesley's going to win, but she's a DSA candidate, and we don't know what will happen. Your thoughts on Missouri right now? Have you been talking about that at all?
Well, on the tax thing, you were telling me several days ago you thought it was going to go down, and that is so, well, it's disappointing. I mean, these states that have phased out their income taxes have done quite well. People like to live in those environments. On the Bell-Bush race, that'll be one we're watching tonight. I'll be on CNN tonight from 8 to 11 as we're doing election coverage. But, these socialist candidates around the country, that's one. You got the Senate race going on in Michigan. There's a few others involved in primaries out there. We're just going to see if the progressive, socialist, communist wave continues to expand outside of New York City, and that really will be the storyline of the night to me.
So what is your take on Michigan? Because I've started finally focusing in on that the last couple of weeks. I look, Haley Stevens, is she a moderate? I don't know that she's a moderate, but El Sayed is way out there on the fringes. But that is going to be interesting. If Haley Stevens loses that race, that's very fascinating. It says a lot from where the Democrats are right now.
Well, it really does. And, Haley Stevens has the entire establishment, the governor of the state, the outgoing senator. They want Haley Stevens. And Abdul El Sayed has AOC, Bernie Sanders, and the rest of that bunch. So this is a pure establishment versus socialist, radical, insurgent race. All the polling has Abdul El Sayed ahead. Everybody I've talked to in Michigan thinks he's going to win. And, this one is interesting because if Democrats were to lose this in the fall, which I think Abdul El Sayed puts in play for them, make it very difficult for them to take back the Senate in November. The Republican here is a guy named Mike Rogers who narrowly lost the Senate race 2 years ago by like a half a point. So Abdul El Sayed is a radical. He campaigns with radicals. I mean, this is as far left as it gets in a state that's a pretty purple state. So, Republicans are watching this not just for the socialist aspect of it, but does this put a race on the map that may not have felt like that at the beginning of the cycle?
Yeah, so if you look at the polling right now for both of those candidates, it's pretty tight with Mike Rogers. I mean, obviously, there's a long way to go. People start focusing in on this a lot differently once you're past the primary. So I do think that's going to be interesting. Now, a state that I lived in for 9.5 years, and my wife is from Wisconsin, they vote next week. How about this Faughn, the candidate for the Democrats in Wisconsin, who thinks maybe we shouldn't celebrate Thanksgiving because, it's very painful, Scott, for many people in our communities. I don't know if you know that Thanksgiving is painful. I don't know one person who thinks that Thanksgiving is painful. I think they like it better than Christmas.
Well, this candidate, by the way, that thing she said about Thanksgiving on CNN, if she were to have said that at the Democratic National Convention, she would have got a standing ovation. I mean, she's not. These lunatic Democrats, I mean, they're into weirdo beliefs like that. I mean, look, at the beginning of all their party events, Everywhere in the country, they do land acknowledgments. Land acknowledgments are an extension of that line of thinking that Thanksgiving needs to be canceled. And this Faughn has dipped into and expressed every sort of anti-American founding, anti-constitutional thing you can dip into. And, that's what they're going with in Wisconsin. Again, in an environment where Democrats historically should have an advantage, you can see in races around the country, Michigan, Wisconsin, there's several House races out there, where if they just nominated someone approaching normal, they'd probably win. But they're going to end up nominating people who are insane lunatics, and they're probably going to lose, and they're going to squander, some opportunities that are on the board.
Scott Jennings back with us this afternoon. Since you were on vacation last night, were you dialed in? I'm sorry, not last night, last week. Were you dialed in to the Fauci stuff? Because that was quite something last week. And, there's two aspects. There's the fact that Fauci was exposed as more despicable than I think I even thought he was, and lies. And then there's the fact that the media won't really cover that aspect. And you are on a network where there's a couple of people that got involved in those diaries that, I think is controversial as well. I don't know if Dr. Fauci is going to go to prison. I don't know if I want him to go to prison, but I do think there should be accountability. And to take the fifth 111 times and not answer questions that I think the American people are due is just repulsive, but that's what we're going to get.
Yeah, I was dialed in on that pretty closely, actually. My home state Senator Rand Paul was running that hearing. And, first of all, people need to remember he got a pardon. Biden gave him a blanket pardon, so there was really no excuse for him to take the fifth, unless he was planning to perjure himself, which is another, another question altogether. So, look, the American people need answers to the questions. A lot of mistakes were made, and a lot of damage was done to our national public health regime, and that's very bad. And he could have helped start to restore credibility by owning up to some of this, and he refused to do it. And when you look at through the files that they've gotten on him now, his obsession with his own fame and becoming a celebrity, more than, say, I don't know, getting your kid back to school, it's outrageous. And it goes to show you that at the time when a lot of us were having questions about why are we doing this, why are we doing that, I mean, even Europe had it figured out on the schools. Fauci was spending all day, every day as his own publicist, as opposed to, trying to get those answers to those questions.
It's just one of those issues. I think government fraud is in this same category where I don't know why this is not a partisan, outrage because, or nonpartisan outrage, because it shouldn't be Democrats on one side, Republicans on another side. When it comes to Fauci, everyone should be concerned about what happened to the country. And I always kind of allow for the first couple of months, things were weird. We didn't know what was happening. But after that, mistakes were made continuously.
Well, the issue is because he became viewed as a resistance figure to Trump, he therefore became infallible, and he must be defended at all costs. This happens to people. Even moderately or not talented at all people in Washington, all they had to do in order to become sainted was to just basically become a resistance figure to Trump. This was Fauci. Remember, they had pillows. They crocheted his face on pillows. They had prayer candles. They turned him into a deity, basically, and now the deity must be defended. That's what's happening here. The problem is that so many people's lives were destroyed, children's educations were destroyed, people's futures were destroyed, businesses were destroyed, and they're willing to do all of that and answer no question about it just to keep up the facade of St. Fauci. It's terrible. What's crazy is that if we have another medical pandemic in this, we have another problem in this country, nobody's going to trust a word any of these public health officials say, because we have no reason to trust him because of the way he's acting right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big problem, and that's why I think more people should pay attention. I always mention David Zweig's book, An Abundance of Caution, because I think that's a great recap of some of the nonsense that went on. Hey, I know I was listening to CNN last night. They're focusing a lot on this reflecting pool situation with the president and Jeanine Pirro. They've known each other for a long time. They're very close. He kind of threw under the bus a couple of days ago. What do you make of all that? Because it seems like this is a bit of an unforced error on the part of the president.
Well, look, I've been very defensive of him over the general idea of doing renovations in Washington. It's America 250. Things need to look nice.
Yeah.
I'm all for that, and I think that's a great impulse. On this pool, I mean, I guess they had to withdraw the charges because they simply just didn't have evidence. You can't go to court without evidence. And, look, I had a reaction to this on CNN the other night. They drug this guy's name through the mud, and they can't, I've never heard of this guy other than this issue, and I have a strong reaction when people are unfairly have their name dragged through the mud like this. And so, I think I said on TV, I think this is like, they look like a bunch of monkeys having intimate relations with footballs. That's the way this looks to me. I have no doubt there's been vandalism at national parks and national monuments. I believe that. Whether it was this guy or not, apparently not. I don't like that this guy got dragged through the mud over this. I just want them to get the pool fixed. The pool is a cool thing. It needs to be fixed. And that's the most important thing. But they really, really ought not drag people's name through the mud if they don't have the goods.
By the way, in defense of, I heard some guy last night when I was listening to CNN say, and this was important too, despite this controversy, D.C., and you can vouch for this because you're there, D.C. looks a lot better than it did, 2 years ago. He's really cleaned a lot of stuff up. So the positives outweigh the negatives when it comes to how the nation's capital is looking right now.
You go to the front of Union Station, which is the train station. There is a fountain. I didn't even know it was a fountain. I've been going there for 26 years. I had no idea it was a fountain. This thing is gleaming white. This fountain's coming out. There's a pool of water. This thing was basically like a homeless monument. It was
I've been there.
Covered in graffiti.
Yes, I've
garbage.
seen it. Yep.
It looks great. There's examples like this all over the city. They beautified the city. And, oh, by the way, they've had a massive reduction in crime.
Right.
It's a little safer to walk around. They've done basic government services. Make it look good and make it safe. And, of course, Democrats have lost their minds about this because Trump did it. They won't do it. Trump does it, and so now it's been turned into something negative. I think it's been a very great thing for
Absolutely.
the Capitol.
All right, Jennings, my friends in Milwaukee, and I saw a couple of sports radio hosts and even some personal friends I made when I was up there, they think they may have gotten fleeced at the trade deadline by the St. Louis Cardinals. What do you think? It looks like we did okay here.
I think we did okay. I'll miss JoJo. He's been a big part of the team for 5 years.
I know.
But, for the Brewers, look, they need to try to win the World Series. And they've already got some dominant pitching. Now they're going to have more depth. For them, it's like, okay, we're going to try to win it. Let's try to win it. I get why they did it. I tell you this, Bloom, he's done what he said he was going to do, restock the pool. And our reflecting pool looks pretty good right now in the Cardinal system.
I think you're right about that. There, you come full circle with all this. Yeah, it's going to be fun to see what happens. And by the way, on Milwaukee, this may be this might have to be their year, despite the Dodgers and everything else. By the way, did you see the home run, the sea of home runs last night by Burleson and everyone else?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah. And that short porch in New York versus what he has to face in Busch Stadium. We were texting about this the other day.
Yes.
How many home runs would this guy have if he played in a different park? But I'm glad we have him, and I was glad he got to hit a few dingers in a short porch.
All right, Scott. I was, too. All right. Hey, appreciate the time. We'll see what happens tonight with all the results as they come in. We'll keep you posted from Missouri, but thanks a lot. We'll catch you on CNN tonight.
Happy Election Day. See you, Mark.
Well, if you're westbound on 70 or will be, it's fine in the city, but it's starting to slow now, approaching Highway K to a point just a little bit east of Lake St. Louis Boulevard. And it looks like 64 has some moderate volume at Hampton, a little bit at 270 in both directions, and again, out at Prospect. Now, southbound 270, some moderate volume, 6440 down through Doherty Ferry. 55 a little slow south of Highway M. And most of the volume on the Illinois side is on 5570 in both directions around 111. That due to road work. And then eastbound 64 is slow, of course, east of 157 in that area as you head through the construction zone, and it looks better once you get to 159. This report is brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they have been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. They do everything from windows to siding. Go to lakesiderd.com and start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas with Traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Sue, have you heard about the dude who tried to steal a sheriff's car? Actually drove away with it today.
No.
Did not turn out very well for him. I'll have that before the end of the hour. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing. Hey, Sue, one thing I want to talk about a little bit before Sue's News after the top of the hour is I wrapped the documentary, and it's in 3 parts of the Idaho murders, the Koberger case.
And?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit more after 4, but it was
right.
it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And I feel, the question that we had when we were talking with Paul Hall about it is, do you learn something from this?
Right.
And I think you do, and I'll kind of comment on that after the top of the hour. Also, our friend Tim Summers, and I want to kind of, replug this here. Tim Summers has got a new book out called Dispatches from the Kingdom of Outsiders. We had him on the show a week and a half ago. Tim has been around the music industry, an incredibly long time. And these are basically stories, some of which are just kind of crazy because he told this story when he was on with us last time. Johnny Depp and Evan Dando nearly killed themselves tripping on acid. And Tim was watching it happen as they were climbing high above this skyscraper in Los Angeles. So some of the stories he tells in that book are kind of crazy. One of the things that John Lamping and I are going to talk about tonight is the race in Michigan between El Sayed and Haley Stevens.
We've also got to make sure that in this state, we are not discriminating by documentation status. Right now, if you're undocumented, you don't get access to a driver's license, so you're stuck. We need to abolish things like the filibuster and the Electoral College.
ICE cannot be reformed. ICE cannot be retrained. ICE has to be abolished.
You said the Israeli government is evil. Do you think they're just as evil as Hamas?
Yes, killing tens of thousands of people makes you pretty damn evil.
You said when they go low, we choke them out.
So that's El Sayed. His opponent is Haley Stevens, who is deemed the establishment candidate. Let's go up to Michigan this afternoon. Ryan Recker, he's an anchor at WWJ Radio in Detroit, used to be here at KMOX. He has filled in for me and other hosts here on a regular basis. Ryan Recker, what's up, dude? I never get to talk to you because you're always on when I'm not here.
Your voice, I loved listening to your last interview there, too.
Thank you. So that's okay.
Oh, we got you.
There we go. We can hear each other. So I have not focused as much on this Michigan race, but this is pretty big tonight. We're going to take a lot of time analyzing it when John and I do this election coverage. What is your take from being inside the state? Is, the polling that I've seen is El Sayed is up significantly in this race. It's always turnouts. Obviously, we're keeping an eye on Corey Bush and Wesley Bell here. But what's your take, Ryan, on that race for the U.S. Senate?
Here's the thing that I really started to ponder is there's a certain amount of love affair people have for this democratic socialism. And El Sayed is someone that is very much like that, except he tries to keep it somewhat contained and on the down low. But the thing I really realize is that this love affair with the democratic socialism is much more mainstream than I ever imagined. And I don't think I'm breaking any confidence here, but, I work inside of a newsroom. You get to hear people's opinions. Obviously, their opinions don't reflect what they report, but you get to hear their personal side and their personal take on stories they're covering. People love him, and they just admire him. They adore him. We had all the different candidates come into our radio station throughout the course of this election. I've met El Sayed, I've met Haley Stevens, and, we sit them at a table and we let them talk and we ask them questions and we get to know them as a way of an informal way to try to, meet the people that are running for office. And we might have had, let's say, 5 people that sat in on Haley Stevens, but the entire table of the conference room was filled for Abdul El Sayed. The people there wanted to hear what he had to say. He's very charismatic. He gets the right words out, but he's also very calculated in the things he says.
Mm-hmm.
And when certain politicians, when you ask them what you think you're having as a candid conversation with them, and then you're, okay, let's go and we'll interview, and you ask them a question and they say verbatim, word for word, what they just told you, you can tell they're very good at tricking people to make it feel like it's conversational, but really they have trained themselves very hard to make sure they're saying the right things. And when you have someone like El Sayed, who is very, very left-leaning, wants to defund the police, has issues with Israel and, abolish ICE and indigenous reparations and,
all this stuff. Yeah.
Police brutality is a public health issue. You played those clips are great ways to do it. He doesn't make that his core message because he knows those type of things are not popular. he makes his core message that, I'm young and hip. And that is really resonating, which makes me believe sometimes when you have that happening, the polls could be wrong. So this, I think, is a lot tighter than what some of the polls say between him and Stevens.
He's kind of like a bit of a Mamdani, right? He's kind of picking up on that energy. But is it not an issue? This is one of the things, and I don't think I really paid attention to this here until the last week. So he's portrayed as a doctor, right? A physician, epidemiologist, but he holds a medical degree, but he's never completed a medical residency or held any clinical license to practice medicine on patients. Do people care about that? Because that in and of itself kind of says fraud to me. Right?
Well, here's this is how he handles that. And he's very good at this. Goes back to the idea that he is crafting his message the right way. Whenever someone brings that up, his answer is always the same. It's something to the lines of, well, the college I went to says the doctor school. So doesn't that he doesn't say he's a doctor, but he says, well, if the title on the building says the doctor school of whatever, for Columbia or whatever he went where the building was called, he wants to allude to the fact that he's a doctor, but he is absolutely not legally allowed to practice in the state of Michigan because he does not have the credentials for that. And I don't think he has the doctorates, but he is definitely not a doctor, but he tries to play that up.
Yeah, because the perception, I think, is that he, at least at one point, was a licensed physician, and that's not even true.
No.
Yeah.
I don't even think he did any clinical hours. He basically finished the class work, but all the other things that you need to become a doctor, the clinical side of it, and actually meeting with patients and learning that side, I don't think he did any of that.
Interesting.
So, yeah, you might have a doctorate, kind of like Dr. Jill Biden,
yes,
but you wouldn't actually go in and have her do a physical.
No, that's what I kind of compared it to earlier. Ryan Recker is here. He's up at WWJ Radio in Detroit. All right, let's for a moment say that Haley Stevens is able to pull this out. Tell me about Haley Stevens, and then is the race, because the polling, Ryan, that I've seen, and this obviously it's early, but if you put Mike Rogers, the Republican, against either of these candidates, it's very, very close. But if she wins, does she, in theory, have a better chance, you think, or is this thing all bets are off?
I think that it could be very, very close again with them. The thing with Haley Stevens is that, the big ploy for her is you will never meet her without her mentioning that she worked for President Obama. Like she was, when the auto industry was on the ropes, I was there with President Obama working to bring it back. So she says that even though I wouldn't really make it look like she was a big influence on that, but she definitely puts herself and hitches on the establishment. The governor, Gretchen Whitmer, and the senator that is retiring, he also has endorsed Haley Stevens. So there's a lot of people that are there, and they're looked at as mainstream Democrats in the state of Michigan. They all say Haley Stevens is the person. They look at El Sayed as the radical leftist. So if she were to make it, her ploy is, I'm not a millionaire. I'm just your average Michigander. I'm the person that you're going to meet at the grocery store. On the other side, the Republican Mike Rogers, he's someone that moved into the state. He's ran for office a bunch of times. He's had some success, but not to this level. He's tried to run for Senate, for example, didn't end up working. So he is the President Trump-backed candidate. President Trump carried the state back when the general election happened last. So if there's still a little bit of that magic left, Mike Rogers could win it, but it would be super close.
Yeah, but this is going to, if El Sayed's the guy, then, the conversation becomes very different. And, we're still wondering if Cori Bush might pull an upset here against Wesley Bell. I still think it's a long shot. But again, I think all bets are off just given the fact that these DSA candidates are really picking up steam, and there's anti-incumbency, I think, on both sides. Posters will tell you that that's pretty much the case. Well, it's fascinating. We'll see what happens. You guys taking a look at anything else up there right now? Do you have ballot issues or stuff like that on the
Well, there's a couple of things that I guess are on the ballot. A lot of local issues on the ballot. Statewide, they do have a ballot proposal that I think is going to make it into the general election that has to do with campaign financing and disclosure, which is kind of interesting. But I wouldn't say there's any really exciting ones. The only ones,
the Senate race is big enough, right?
The Senate race and the governor's race are the two big ones here. And it's just this love affair with democratic socialism that has been sweeping nationwide. I just cannot figure out why it's become so mainstream, honestly. That is what I'm trying to figure out.
I heard Dave Ramsey on Fox earlier today, and he had an interesting theory about this. And I'm a person, I kind of look in a geeky way at the economy and things, that are maybe signals or whatever. But if you look at the amount of debt that people have right now in this country, credit card debt is at an all-time high. It wasn't, during the pandemic. Student loan debt is at an all-time high. You can't, in most parts of the country, I think St. Louis, Ryan, is an exception. You can't really find a house that is at a decent price for a starter house. So a lot of these young people, Dave was saying, they're pushed out, or they feel like they're pushed out of the economy. So that's why this is appealing to them. I think there's something to that, unfortunately. But it's not just younger voters. That's the other thing. There's a lot of older voters, older white women in particular, who are attracted to this. So I don't know that I can explain older white guilty people. That's not my not my area. That's not my lane, Ryan.
Well, I would equate this to a lot of people have problems. There are a lot of issues. There's issues with the healthcare system. There's issues when it comes to housing. These are all problems that I think both parties recognize. But if you have a lot of problems and you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I want to go into the DMV and I'm going to ask them to fix my problems for me. That's essentially you going to a politician saying, hey, El Sayed, I know you as the government can fix my problems. That's as foolish. And I don't know anyone that would ever go in there and say, hey, government, run my life for me, and it would be something that you would want.
Yeah,
but for some reason, there's a lot of people that want to do that right now.
Ryan Recker, great to hook up with you. Hope all is well. Thank you so much. We'll probably hear you on 97.1 FM Talk soon enough.
I'll be in for Annie Fry tomorrow.
Look
so
at that. I didn't even anticipate that. We'll hear you tomorrow. Thank you, Ryan.
There is an accident on eastbound 6440 before Big Bend, and it's blocking the left lanes. Now, only one right lane is squeezing by, and they're kind of doing it on the shoulder. So we've got a jam that's starting to really build behind this. I put this up on X if you want to see what I'm talking about. But we've got a parking lot jam that goes back past McKnight. Well, that is jamming up westbound drivers as well. That goes back through Kings Highway. And southbound 170 is starting to jam back through Ladue Road. So it's really busy and messy through there. Now, westbound 70 is fine out of downtown, slowing at K. And 64 out west slows at Prospect. We do have some moderate volume on southbound 270, and it's Ladue Road down through Doherty Ferry, 55 southbound slowing south of M. And we've got some volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge, eastbound 64 east of 157, and 5570 slowing at 111. That due to road work. This report is brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Overhead Door Home Refresh Rebate. Call now and get $500 back on a qualifying garage door with a qualifying purchase. Must be made by September 30th. Overheaddoor.com to learn more and schedule a free estimate. Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, it was great to get Ryan Recker on because, what he described really was very similar to what kind of propelled Mamdani.
Yes.
There's charm there. There's
Yes.
likability. Sometimes you don't see this when you're far off because we're playing the crazy person sound bites, which probably aren't getting played as much up there in Michigan. But this is a real test. And I would say if you combine this in Michigan with a lesser chance of Corey Bush pulling an upset again against Wesley Bell, but this would absolutely rather give the Democrats, Socialists of America, and the people who support them, which seemingly is a growing number, an advantage into what they really want to do with this country, which is kind of frightening. Get rid of the filibuster, get rid of borders, get rid of the Supreme Court. I mean, some of these things are really, really out there. Now, when they dial down, Ryan kind of indicated this, when you're kind of pushing them on this, well, we may not believe all that. This stuff is evolving. They're going to run way to the left in the primary. And then if he wins this, and I'm telling you, so I don't know if you've seen the polling. The polling's not even close on this. Like a close race would be +3, +4, something like that. He's +9, +10, +11 against Haley Stevens.
I don't
So
get it.
if you, that would be a major upset. That would be an indicator that the polling is way, way off in that race. I do not have polling that is current from Wesley Bell and Corey Bush. The last one I saw was Wesley was up by like 8 points. But again, turnout matters.
There is an accident on eastbound 6440 as you approach Big Bend, and only the right lane is getting by, and we've got a massive delay that's just building and building. Right now, it's almost back to Clayton-Warson. So that, of course, has caused a delay on southbound 170, which is back north of Olive, and westbound traffic lines up at Kings Highway. 70 westbound is fine out of downtown if you want to take that instead. Plenty of volume on the Illinois side, westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge, eastbound on 64, headed for 159 and 5570 in both directions at 111. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
My friends at Banner Construction, very proud to be a James Hardy elite contractor serving this area. They do great work. That's how they are recognized by an outstanding company. And when it comes to home improvement or any kind of remodeling project like this, the most important success factor is selecting the right contractor. You do that wrong, you can have a great product. If it's not installed properly, you have a mess on your hand. You don't want that, right? You want Banner Construction with consistency, great performance, outstanding reviews, being trusted by big companies like James Hardy, and also when it comes to premium replacement windows, Pella, which is a company that's been in business for 101 years now. So if you need replacement windows that are energy efficient and they look great on your home, if you're looking for some new siding which has the look of wood but won't warp or fade and has an amazing warranty, well, that's what Banner can help you with. James Hardy fiber cement siding, Pella replacement windows, bannerconstruction.com.
New optimism for an Iran deal. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. The Trump administration says it believes there will be a deal with Iran soon, allowing ships to safely transit the Strait of Hormuz. Treasury Secretary Bessent saying the deal could come in a day or two. Iran's foreign ministry says talks with Oman have made progress. Crude oil prices fell another 5% today. The average price of gas ticked down a bit. And Energy Secretary Wright says fuel prices should be coming down in the weeks ahead. All of that fueling a huge day on Wall Street.
The Dow skyrocketing 908 points, S&P gaining 136, NASDAQ surging 671.
Fox's Laura Cantor reports those were record closes for the Dow and the S&P 500. The Justice Department charging 19 people with defrauding Pennsylvania's Medicaid program of more than $4 million, billing the state for home health care either not needed or not provided. Dr. Mehmet Oz, the head of the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, says, blame the pandemic.
COVID appears to have unleashed massive fraud through grifters because criminals knew the federal government would not follow up on the money that was spending out. We told the world we were open for fraud and they could start harpooning us with their spears. No mas, no more.
An assistant attorney general says in some cases patients conspired with the fraudsters and shared in the payments. The Senate Judiciary Committee advances the nomination of acting Attorney General Todd Blanche on a party line vote.
They voted 12-10. All Republicans voted to advance Todd Blanche's nomination to the full Senate floor, which will happen later this week. All Democrats oppose this nomination. We heard a lot about the controversial $1.8 billion taxpayer fund that Todd Blanche said no longer exists anymore.
Fox's David Spott, a federal appeals court ruling the Trump administration was not authorized to cancel certain green energy projects that had been pushed by the Biden administration. America is listening to Fox News.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil, one simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to metamucil.com for more details.
You're great at protecting your data, but lots of places could still expose you to identity theft.
I thought it was safe.
If that happens, LifeLock gives you a U.S.-based restoration agent who will stick by your side from start to finish. Phone calls, filing documentation, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
We're having some pretty in-depth discussions, Fred and I, because we have this very important gap hour between...
It's election night planning.
Right. That's what we're doing. We're planning election night. Mainly, we're planning what we're going to eat after the show before 7 o'clock, because Lamping's coming in here at 7, and we're going to take you to probably, I'm guessing, around 10 o'clock or so. The results won't be final. Like, for example, St. Louis County results, Rick Stream was estimating about 9:30. Look, they're pretty good around here. It's not like California where it's going to take years. Now, when it comes to the statewide totals, that's a little different. So we'll have to see if you have an indication of how things might go. Look, you can, and I've been in this situation before, sometimes you see the absentee voting or the early voting when they start counting those ballots. You can get a pretty good indication of, which way an election is going. Sometimes it certainly depends on where the votes are coming from. whether it's North St. Louis County or West County. So we'll keep an eye on the county executive race, the St. Charles County executive race, what's happening in Michigan, the amendments here in Missouri. I mean, Fred, do you think for Missouri, even though we'll have Amendment 3 in November, we'll have congressional races, but this might be a bigger day for us than November.
Oh, yeah, it should be.
In this state, right?
All the races should be
are going to be decided. Steve Butts' race with Gina Mitten. That's one we'll focus on tonight. So there's a lot of stuff. And
St. Louis County executive race could be up in the air.
Who do you think will do that? Who will get it in the executive race?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think most people that I talk to right now, which is interesting because if you would have asked them this question 3 months ago, certainly a year ago, Brian Williams was the prohibitive favorite. They feel like maybe Jake Zimmerman has the advantage now. So I don't have a feel for it. Somebody on the show asked me yesterday, or maybe it was the roundtable, what I'm seeing where I live, and I don't know about you guys, and I was at your house, Sue. I didn't really notice a lot of signs. Where I live in the Fenton area, there's not a lot of signs for anything. Like, you wouldn't even know there's a St. Louis County executive race going on because I don't see any signs for either of the candidates, right?
I have a neighbor who's got the sign for the prosecutor in St. Louis County.
For Melissa?
Yeah. And that's about all I've seen.
Right. It's weird, and I think part of it is because we all come from an era where, the media was very, very limited when it came to ad. You would advertise in the newspaper, you take a billboard out, you have campaign signs, you have radio and TV. That's it, right? Well, that's different now because all those dollars are spread across digital platforms. And what they can achieve, some of this is really interesting, Sue, because you can go in and determine whether or not a family like you and Michael are at home and he's watching something upstairs and you're watching something downstairs. They're going to micro-target you based on what your viewing habits are and all these things. The science of this, even beyond the polling with politics, not that it's exact because they get things wrong, but it really is fascinating. And unfortunately, it hurts traditional legacy media outlets like us because they spread those dollars around. It's just what happens.
In South City, if you drive down Loughborough between 55 and Morganford, you see a ton of signs.
Mostly Butts.
Steve Butts.
On the park side or on the people's homes side?
Either one.
Oh,
Either
really?
one. Yeah, but it's because Steve lives down there.
Right, and a lot of Shane Cohn signs, too, for
Yeah,
the city.
yeah.
He's the alderman for that area? I didn't know. I don't think I knew that.
Well, he isn't, but he must be trying to be.
Oh.
Well, that's
right?
what's confusing to me. Is he running for alderman or is he running for Steve's House seat? See, that's maybe where I'm confused.
Because we have an alder person who lives down there, and it's a she.
Yeah, that's never been Shane Cohn's district, so I bet that's you should look that up. I didn't even think about that Steve's House district because he term limited out, so that's a different race altogether. Okay, a couple things I want to throw in a plug for here this afternoon. We've got Sue's News coming up here in just a few minutes. After that.
You know what? Sorry. He's a member of the board of aldermen. The line must go right down it because he's Boulevard Heights. So, yeah.
Oh, so he is running for re-election for the board of aldermen.
But his current term is supposed to not end until 2029.
Okay,
I'm
very
confused.
confused. Like, I think he's running for the House.
He must be.
We should probably text Steve and just find out. We're going to sound really stupid here. People have probably already texted me saying, Mark, you should know this. You're stupid. If I had to guess, let's see if we have any of those. Not yet, but they'll come in any minute now and tell me. Tim Summer has his book. Tim has become a great friend, not only to the show, but to me personally, even though we've never met. I'm not sure we'll ever meet. He lives in Connecticut, but he's such a fascinating guy when it comes to his history in the music industry, which started when he was like 15 years old writing for a music publication 45 years ago. And then he worked at MTV. He worked in the record business. He signed Hootie and the Blowfish, helped them become an international phenomenon. And he's written for a lot of different outlets as well. So he has a book out that is in the stores today. We had him on about 10 days ago for a preview. I know he's real busy with it right now. It's called Dispatches from the Kingdom of Outsiders, Writing on Music, Culture, and War, 1979 to 2025.
And when he was on with you at that time, he told this great story about, I can't think of who the group was. They invited him back to their hotel room.
It was you two?
To play some music, some songs.
Yeah, well, this is a collection. And one of the things that Tim said is you don't have to really read it in order. You can look at the chapters. And one of them, and I remember talking to him about this, when Weezer put out that cover of Toto's Africa, he hated it so much. So here's one of the chapters. Weezer's Africa is the most repugnant pop recording of all time. the story that he shares about being in this hotel room with Bono and The Edge, giving Tim and his friend Mike a private concert. That's kind of amazing. He remembers the glory days with MTV News and the meaning of MTV. He plays kind of an important role, or he's even featured in the new REM documentary that's out there. Tim has a little news clip when he was interviewing someone from REM. So there's really all these stories that he's written over the course of many, many years. And one thing I like about Tim, look, we don't agree on everything. He's very opinionated when it comes to music. I've turned him around maybe on a couple of things, that he's not liked, but we've had great conversations. But again, I think that he is a really, really good rock journalist, and I've read some of the chapters of the book, and I know some of them because he shared that with us. Again, that's called Dispatches from the Kingdom of Outsiders. Tim Summer. You can order that on Amazon. Last week on Thursday, I think it was Thursday, I want to mention this because we're going to start giving attention to it. I kicked off a listener trip to Croatia, and it is going to be amazing. A lot of fun. Mike Kenny is my guy from Defined Destinations. Mike and I have known each other maybe 13, 14 years. We've traveled many times. He used to be with a company called Holiday Vacations, and he kind of started doing things on his own. And I'll tell you that, like, right after the pandemic, I started seeing, pictures that he would share from Croatia. And I told him from the very beginning when we started doing some business again and wanted to travel that was on my list. The first trip we took with listeners, some of you might have been along, was to Spain 3.5 years ago at this point, and then last year to Greece. So this is going to be May 25th through June 5th. It's a 12-day trip in May of next year through Croatia. It is a 36 passenger yacht, if you will. So this is going to max out at 36 people. It's going to sell out. We just need 17 couples, because Becky and I will be amongst them. Maybe only 16 because Mike too. So it's really, really cool. If you go to definedestinations.com, or if you go to my Twitter X, I've heard some people calling it Twitter X, and I like that, Fred, or X-Twitter, something like that. Twitter X. If you go to Twitter X, you know how you can pin things at the top? I've done that. I've pinned the details of the trip. You can also link, like I said, to definedestinations.com. It's just an incredible trip, and we're going to, start talking about it. We'll be in Zagreb, and then we get on this ship, and we start touring all around Croatia. A lot of food experiences, really, really, really fun. So I hope that some of you will consider traveling with me next May and Defined Destinations. Now, one thing on entertainment that I want to mention here before we get to Sue's News is I have wrapped the Idaho murders documentary on Netflix. And I thought it was really good. And, it's one of those things. I understand completely why some of you out there would not want to watch something like this, because it's so sick and twisted. And I think that some of us have this pretty weird fascination with true crime. And this is one of those cases that's kind of grabbed us. And I think this was executed extremely well. And I'm very critical sometimes of documentaries. One of the things that happens with Netflix in particular, and I think HBO Max and some of the others, is they take a topic and they stretch it into 3 episodes when it should be an 80-minute documentary. Ooh. In this case, they don't do this. And one of the things I loved about it is they don't really talk about Brian Koberger a lot. He's not the focus. It's the girls, the boyfriend who was killed, Ethan Chapin, and the victims, the families. And, they even said, the director of the film even said, we would have not wanted to mention him at all, honestly. And you know how I have a practice of with the serial killers or the mass murders, I don't like to mention the shooters at all. So this is called The Idaho Murders, College Nightmare. And you really focus on the victims, Madison Bogan, Kaylee Goncalves. It's a little hard to pronounce her name. It's like Gonzalez, but it's Goncalves. Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle. Her sister is really good, Xana's sister here, and a couple of people that are featured in the documentary are outstanding. I would say that the hero is Olivia Goncalves, who is the sister of Kaylee, the older sister. She's the one that when they did the sentencing of Koberger a year ago was really in his face, and it was amazing. We played some of the audio from that. But here's what I would say.
Anything?
Yeah, learned a lot.
Okay.
But I also didn't learn a lot, and here's what I will tell you. I felt like there was a lot of new information, and you are given pieces of 911 calls and some of the body cam stuff from what was happening. I mean, this police department was in way over their heads. They had a call in the state. They knew that from the beginning. Everyone was very confused. It's a small town. But here's what I'll tell you was not answered, and it's the main mystery from all this. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Brian Koberger did this, right? 2 things. Remember how we were confused about the plea? And Paul Morrow even said, look, a lot of times You do this because you don't know if you can make the case. And our reaction is like, how can you not make the case? What you learn from this documentary is there is very little evidence. He wanted to create the perfect crime suit.
Yeah, he did.
He came very close.
Wow.
Very close. So you can actually see if something happens with this plea and they have to go to trial, there is not a lot of physical evidence, and there might be risk there for a reasonable doubt. Again, I have no doubt that the guy did it. I don't think anyone with half a brain, but it doesn't matter because you just need reasonable doubt. But the biggest question remains the window between 4 a.m. and noon. They did not make the 911 call for 8 hours, even though one of the surviving roommates saw him in the house. That is not explained.
It isn't?
Not explained at all. Only from the standpoint that the cops were saying, look, this is confusing time. Maybe there was alcohol involved overnight. They don't really explain that. And I don't know if we're ever going to understand that. Maybe if this thing comes back with him, withdrawing the plea. But I would recommend that documentary. It's pretty good.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Crews have just cleared the accident eastbound 6440 approaching Big Bend. It had been blocking the left lanes, and we have a jam back through Clayton Warson, so it's going to take a minute to unwind. Southbound 170 has been jammed in that area, and westbound 40 lining up Kings Highway out through McCausland. Now 70 westbound out of downtown, not bad. But 64, of course, lined up at Kings Highway, and then we have the jam through where the accident was. But then you get a break, and it doesn't slow again until Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Southbound 270, slow pockets Ladue Road, down through Doherty Ferry, and northbound is slowing at Doherty Ferry as well. 55, not too bad, a little slow near M. But jams on the Illinois side. 64 eastbound, 157, the road work east of there. And, of course, 5570 in both directions near 111. That due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
Gentlemen, Mark Cox here. When's the last time you actually felt like yourself? Victory Men's Health specializes in hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, and longevity. It's built for everyday men who just want to feel better and perform their best. They already have offices in Town and Country, Sunset Hills, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. They're about to open a new location in Glen Carbon very soon. It's a higher standard of care just waiting for you. Learn more at victorymenshealth.com.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
If you're considering buying or selling a home, when it comes to choosing the Gelman team with eXp Realty, numbers don't lie. Over 1,500 Google and Zillow 5-star reviews, nearly 6,000 homes, and $2.5 billion in real estate sold. 314-336-1991, thegelmanteam.com.
I love a clean house. If you do too, you need to get a hold of my friends at Zero Res. Mark Cox here. They're having an end of summer sale. Whether you're looking to clean up before or after your big barbecue or get ready for a late season graduation party, call Zero Res. Celebrate this month with 2 rooms of carpet cleaned and get 2 rooms free. Plus, you can take 20% off air duct services and products. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Ask for the 97.1 special.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
Sometimes it feels like the news is full of things that have never happened before, and that is not exactly true. In fact, it may have happened this very week, hundreds or thousands of years ago. I'm Sally Helm, host of the podcast History This Week from the History Channel. Trade embargoes? Thomas Jefferson tried them. Rent too high? We've been arguing about that for a while. Each episode is proof. The past isn't that far away. Listen to History This Week, available now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Oh my goodness, we got to get to Sue's News. We're running just a little late, so without further ado...
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Well, it's National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, which Fred will love.
Oh, yeah. My favorite day.
Mark, do you make the chocolate chips?
Major fail. Look, I wanted to make these for last week when we had dinner at your house, and I didn't get around to it. But I need to start getting off the cookie schneid. I will tell you that now.
Yes, come on.
And I told you I lost my favorite recipe, but I'm going to have ChatGPT or Gemini help me.
Yeah, they'll find it for you.
I know they will.
It's also National Coast Guard Day. And 236 years ago today, in 1790, the present-day Coast Guard began as the Revenue Cutter Service. That's what it was called. But the 1700s, come on, that's impressive. Wow. And 104 years ago today, think about the fact that we carry around a phone in our purse/pocket. In 1922, AT&T and the Bell Systems shut down all of their switchboards in memory of Alexander Graham Bell, who had died 2 days earlier. They had 13 million telephones in the U.S. and Canada, and they went absolutely dead for 1 minute in his honor.
Isn't that interesting? That's crazy.
Yeah, and we have come so far in just over 100 years.
So that's funny. Becky was over. Her aunt lives here in town, and she was over at her aunt's house the other day, and her aunt had two phones that were probably... one of them was an original iPhone, I think. I think we determined it was like the iPhone 3. And the other was like this little flip phone that had to be from the early 2000s. And those, like even the early iPhone, it was so small.
Tiny.
We thought it was big, but then when the big ones started coming out.
Yeah. Would you like to go back to the small phones? Or
no?
Do men
not
like
me.
the big ones, Fred? No?
I think I'm at a medium. I don't have one of the bigger ones.
I love the bigger screen. I got used to it, so I really like it a lot.
Well, I guess you just, as long as you could put it in your pocket, it doesn't have to fit in there, but you can carry it around. All right, 39 years ago, in 1987, the soundtrack that you will hear right here was released.
Do you really have to do this to me here today?
Just briefly.
I'm not sure that I want to go down this rabbit hole. Actually, I don't mind the song as much as the movie.
Song.
Yeah. It is a pretty good song.
It is.
It's just the movie that gets, you know.
It's fair.
I've never really gone back too much. I think I've seen it maybe 3 times, that movie. It's been a while, though, since I've seen it.
Dirty Dancing, 1987. Okay, you guys.
That was Jen Gray pre-nose job, too, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, she looks like a different person.
She looks good, though. I don't always like nose jobs, but I think she looked good both ways.
I
okay?
agree.
That's what I'd say.
I think she looked fine beforehand.
Right.
Okay. There is a country singer named Chase Matthew, and I was unaware of him. But he is getting absolutely torched for his cover of AC/DC's Back in Black. One person called it, quote, legitimately one of the worst things ever. Okay, and we're going to play just a little of it.
Now I have not heard this yet, so here we go.
goodness.
Here we go.
Back in Black, I hate to say, I have you know I'm glad to be back. Yes, I'm let loose from the news.
It sounds kind of like it sounds like a cover band that was doing this, somewhere at a bar. That doesn't sound very good.
And at the beginning, it's Sack. Is this Sack weird? I don't know. I don't like any of it. It's terrible. But
the people love it, though.
Oh, they do not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's very good. No, I don't like that.
Oh, it's terrible. But it's a palate cleanser after Dirty Dancing if you need it. And in better country news, we have Zac Brown Band, and they performed at Fenway on Sunday night and surprised everyone in the crowd with a free cruise. Here's the sound.
So he out-Oprah'd Oprah.
I'm buying every single person here a cruise for 2 people on the boat. Every single person here gets a cruise for themselves and a loved one to go on the boat.
I mean, how crazy is that,
Well,
right?
it is, except when you find out
Yes.
that he actually has a partnership with the cruise line and co-designed the live music venue, and it's all on the Beachcomber ship. And
Yeah, but
it's
great. Who cares, right?
Margaritaville at Sea's new Beachcomber. Well, I assume he's not paying $40 million
No,
for
he's
it.
not.
But what
But
a
it doesn't
great
matter.
thing.
I mean-
Wait a minute. Didn't Oprah give away cars?
I don't know if she
I
gave
think that's
cars
more
away, did she?
expensive than a cruise.
She did give away cars.
Yes,
Okay.
but I guess her
I don't think
audience
she
is
had
smaller.
35,000
That's
people
right.
there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could be at the top of Fenway Park, and all of a sudden you pay like that, and all of a sudden Zac Brown's giving you a cruise. I think that's a pretty good deal.
Well, that's true. Of course, it could be like one weekend and they try to sell you condos, but maybe not. Maybe
well,
not.
That would not shock me.
Yeah, see, that's just kind of what I was thinking.
I'll tell you what, though, Zac Brown, man, he has not been shy this year. He's maybe been a little overexposed, but he's got a really, really cool intro for Sunday Night Baseball, kind of like what Carrie Underwood does for football. So Zac's out there churning out his songs and his, I guess, his business acumen as well.
Okay, they do say that it is valued at more than $40 million, and it is the largest surprise audience gift in live entertainment history. So I take it all back. You're right. Oprah did cars, but her audience was smaller.
Right.
All right, Amazon's stock went up, and on Monday hit a market value of $3 trillion for the first time ever.
You know why that is? I bought that $6 flashlight.
I knew
on
it!
Monday. That's what put him over the top.
Oh, my gosh. Well, this makes it the 5th company to do so. Can you
Fifth.
name
Microsoft?
Yes.
Apple?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Google? Or is that Microsoft?
Well, it's Alphabet.
Okay.
And that owns Google and YouTube
Meta.
and Waze. And NVIDIA is the other
NVIDIA,
one.
the chip maker, yeah.
But $3 trillion pushed over the edge by Mark's flashlight. According to a new report, the average American spends $397 on summer activities every weekend. Now, does that?
No way.
Here's what they say. That's the stuff you're doing, which can really add up. Now, not your basics, not your mortgage, on stuff you're doing. Here's how they break it down. Dining out, which is the most expensive, which they say is $61. That's not many people.
No, that's two.
I mean,
that's two people.
Exactly. Hosting gatherings is another $60, or bringing stuff to someone else's. Attending celebrations and gifts, weddings and birthday, entertainment, $57, like movie theaters or concerts. Again, way low if you're going to a concert. Outdoor activities, if you want to go boating or camping or anything like that.
Well, when you throw gas prices involved, that maybe the number's not that off. Look,
that could be.
$70 to fill your tank, or $60 to fill your tank. That's going to play into it too. If you got a family of 4 and you're going out to dinner, even at some place that's in theory cheap, it's going to add up.
It is. And finally, in Sue's News, we have today's random fact. The least financially successful Harry Potter movie made about $90 million more than the most successful Twilight movie.
Yeah, that was a little nugget for you. Chew on that.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. Caterpillar raised its annual revenue growth forecast thanks in part to equipment needs as part of the AI data center build-out. During the second quarter, it booked a total of $9.4 billion worth of orders. Overall revenue jumped 24% in the period, with construction segment revenue up 35%. And in North America, that number saw a 50% jump. Caterpillar shares were up 5.5% today. Pfizer posted a beat last quarter with earnings per share of 77 cents and revenue of just over $15 billion. It also boosted the low end of its revenue outlook for the fiscal year. Shares were up 1.5% today. Part of that bump will be expected a $1.5 billion increase from non-COVID products. Strong gains led to record closes for the Dow Industrials and the S&P 500. The Dow picked up 907 points, ending the day at 54,086. NASDAQ added 671 points. S&P 500 gained 136. And that's your money now.
That'll be $84.52.
Perfect. Grab the bags, honey.
Mom, why do you always check your phone before we pay?
I'm just claiming my cash back on the Upside app. Since we're getting the groceries here and we filled up the car on the way, I've already earned enough this morning to pay for that pizza night we're having Friday.
Wait, so the app pays for pizza?
Not exactly, but the cash I earn on stuff we need helps us pay for the stuff we want. It's just a little win for our family every week.
Get more out of your everyday. Upside is the free app that gets you cash back on routine purchases like gas, groceries, and dining out at more than 100,000 locations nationwide. No points, no rebates, just cash back straight to your wallet. Download the free Upside app and use promo code ACT5 to get a $5 bonus on your first purchase. That's promo code ACT5 to get a $5 bonus. Remember, use promo code ACT5.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
If you haven't had your roof checked in the last 5 years, it's time for roof maintenance. Mark Cox here for my friends at Corel Roofing Company. Listen, Curtis is going to come out, or a member of his crew, and get up on your roof for free to see what's going on. If you've got damage, I can't think of anyone better to work with your insurance adjuster to get that coverage. Recently, Curtis went to bat for one of his customers and got her coverage from 2024 storm damage with 2024 deductibles. He works hard at this and he prides himself, and he took his whole crew to Kansas City recently for additional training working with adjusters to make sure you get what you deserve. Corel Roofing has crews with over 20 years of experience, and it doesn't matter what kind of shingles you need, they've got you covered. 314-222-9529. That's 314-222-9529. Tell them Mark sent you. Go to CorelRoofingCo.com.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Hey, where you going? The party just started. We're celebrating America 250 all year long on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
You know, so I'm pretty excited about tonight because I love election night coverage. Former Senator Lamping's coming in, and I feel like even though I'm in the studio with you right now, the visual that I have, and maybe I can even smell this a little bit, the green room here at 97.1 FM Talk is going to be stocked with food and beverages, and it's going to be just
that's
no, I don't think anyone thought about us again. We sometimes get like pizzas as a hey, we'll throw you a pizza. I don't even think I get that, so I have to figure out how to get some food after 6 o'clock. I have between 6 and 7 to manage this. I don't want to go down to the Schnucks because I might get stabbed, so I may have to drive somewhere.
I looked up your Euro. Euro Express is closed till 10:30 tomorrow.
I don't like that. That's not good at all. Hey, the other thing I wanted to mention, just because it's an incredible number, did you know Spider-Man already crossed the $1 billion mark at the box office
I
globally?
had a story in yesterday I didn't get to that said it was close.
Yeah, it's past the $1 billion.
Wow.
And it's not that good. I mean, I might have liked it better than the Odyssey, though, now that I think about it. All right, we mentioned the election coverage tonight. We're going to start at 7, likely go till 10. Scott Faughn is with us, the host of This Week in Missouri. He's been doing his Ford F-150 tour around the state. I know you stopped here in St. Louis, but I couldn't see you that day, could I? We were doing something else. How are you?
I'm good, but if you're going to have John in, you got to stock some hair gel in there, right? I mean,
well, between the two of us,
the guy with the best hair in all Missouri politics, you got to take care of him.
You know, and do you know why he might have the best hair in Missouri politics? Because he goes to the same woman who cuts my hair upon my recommendation. He's not stupid. Lamping knows who I'm going to model his hair after is mine. Faughn, give me a credit here. You think that he did that on his own? There's no way.
I did.
No,
I did.
No, I have a role in everything.
Did. Well, I'm glad to know now.
I have a role in everything. There's no doubt about that. I have this feeling, Scott Faughn, this is not going to be the best night for Mike Kehoe with the amendments.
I think that's right. I mean, look, I will tell you this. I very much respect someone that's trying to take on the real issues in this state. I mean, look, I understand a lot of folks would, love the guns, love the abortion. Let's pick on the trans if you can and all that. I get it. And so those things are important to the people they're important to. But in reality, all those things are better if the state grows. And we live in a state that does not grow. And as a person, I mean, I don't put on the show where, I have no opinions, and then one day I become a columnist and you found out I'm a socialist or whatever. I've always been a Republican.
Wait, you're talking about Tony Messenger, I think, there, right? You kind of described his career path anyway. I just thought of that. Go ahead.
There's a whole crew of them there in your new media family that's that way. But in all seriousness, I think if you point a finger, you have to point the finger at the Republicans. The place doesn't grow. And I'm a little pessimistic about tonight as well. But I will tell you this. I would rather see a guy trying to fix the real problems. Mike Kehoe could have just went and passed a bunch of guns and abortion bills and done nothing to address the real problems and been fine. He didn't need to do this. We're stagnant. We're not falling off a cliff. But he actually tried to do something bold. If I know John, he probably doesn't like anything. But this is the kind of thing that I think if John Lamping were governor, he would try to do. At least try to address this problem. Now, the way they did it, you can always criticize. And I think probably fairly in some ways the way this plan was laid out. But in reality, I love the fact someone's trying to address the real problems. That's my children's future is on the line here. Where they live and grow up, how much I get to see them and their kids. These are the real things that affect our state. And kudos to the governor for actually trying to address real things when he could have just done the distraction disco like a lot of Republican politicians do.
I agree with you on that, and that's the reason that I voted for it and I support it. Now, I will tell you this. I was out to dinner with someone who is a big supporter of this last night, and that's Rex Singfield, and he made it very clear. I think Rex is aware that this isn't going to go well as well. He's a realist, but he also said this is not going away, and he's going to continue to push for getting rid of the income tax. And one of the reasons that we talked about this last night, and it's important because you mentioned kids. Look, I have 2 children that are in their 20s. They do not live here in the St. Louis area. One is in Chicago, one's in Houston. I mean, if you're young and you want to do big cities, that's probably the time to do it. But we were talking about this last night in terms of the appeal that St. Louis and Missouri has for younger people out there when it comes to the standard of living. And you know this, Scott, buying a house here in Dogtown or in South St. Louis, something like that, it's still possible to get a decent house at a relatively acceptable price. I mean, prices aren't what they used to be, but you can't do that in Chicago. You can't do that in big cities in Houston. I think my son in Houston recognizes that. You put on top of that zero income tax for workers that, might be in tech, making a fair amount of money. That's going to be an appeal that is going to help Missouri grow. So the issue is not going away, even if it fails tonight. That I can tell you 100%.
And listen, Greg Singfield, the one thing that some folks in the St. Louis media can still do, I'm not pointing the finger again, but they can't demonize someone. And I don't really know Rick Singfield that well. I did not have dinner with him last night. Just as I had dinner at High Street Pub, or actually at Dave's in town.
I'm an elitist, Scott. You know that. I'm an elitist, right? So
I know. Well,
yeah,
the hair gives it away.
Right, exactly.
But look, Rick Singfield, I don't know him. I met him. I don't even know if he would know who I am. I doubt he would. The guy doesn't get anything out of this stuff. He shells out this money because he truly believes it's better for the state. That is, to me, I give a guy like that a lot of credit. Now, and I'll tell you this, if he's still going to stay involved in politics, politicians are going to want to know what he thinks and are going to want to support what he thinks so they can further their careers. It's just the truth. Rick Singfield makes opinions, and you could say it's because of the money, and I would say, duh, of course. But he is an opinion maker. The guy is a smart dude. He built a lot of wealth, and the one thing I'll say, I understand he has his critics. If you don't like his ideas, debate his ideas, but that's not the world we live in, and I'm not trying to be naive. I'll say this, though, none of this stuff he gets anything out of. He truly thinks. I've not agreed with all of his ideas either, by the way, but you can't say he's doing it for himself, and that puts him in a different world than a lot of folks.
He's passionate about this. He cares about St. Louis. That's why he wants to get rid of the earnings tax as well, and that effort's not going to stop either. All right, do you have a handle on? I want you to kind of maybe mention some of the races that could be important across the state outside of the amendments. Look, we got a hot one here in the St. Louis area, as you know, between Steve Butts, who is term limited out, and on the House side, who is going to the Senate potentially. And Gina Mitten is his opponent. She's a former House member. She's making it all about abortion. The so-called experts tell me that Steve's in trouble. He's a friend. He's a roundtable participant. But is Gina Mitten going to win that race tonight, Scott? What's your thoughts?
Well, there's not a finer person I know than Steve Butts. I'll give you my theory on all these globally. If there's a two-way race or three-way race and it's close on the Republican side, go for the person with the loudest, craziest, angriest, will say the dumbest things they can think of. They have a major advantage. On the Democrat side, you go for who has the best case to be a victim, who is the most disadvantaged. In this case, I think Gina Mitten probably can lay claim to being a little more disadvantaged on the liberal scale of victimhood, and I think she's got an advantage because of that. If the race is close, on the whichever Republican can convince the voters they're the stupidest person in the race has a legitimate advantage on Election Day. On the Democrat side, it's whoever can convince the voters they're the biggest victim. And I do think Gina might have a better case.
Are there other – I'm not as dialed into the particulars of the House and Senate races. We have some ads that are running here. I know there's one that's pretty hot in St. Charles. Are there other races that you're kind of looking at tonight in this area?
I'm interested to see – I think a lot of the next 10 years of St. Louis County gets decided tonight. Are you going to be forward-thinking and go with a younger African-American politician? I mean, look, I'm just going to be honest with you from the outside looking in. Lots of St. Louis's problems are race relations, whether those are perceived or real or whatever. I don't live there. I think Brian Williams is a transformational potential leader. I think he would be the kind of person that could bring state resources to bear. I think the kind of guy that could actually maybe get St. Louis, help them get on one page, which would be great for the state. I'm a hick, and the fact is, when we get free cheese, I want to thank you all for paying for part of it. That's just a fact, and to deny it is just a lie. Brian Williams is the kind of guy that could make St. Louis more successful. This state cannot succeed until St. Louis figures things out. I have a feeling they may opt to go with some left-wing, just goofy statement-making. I mean, if you like your property taxes, which I guess folks, here's my beef with y'all. You're going to vote to elect your assessor.
I don't get
jack
that.
Your property taxes up. Crazy. Then you're going to come to Jeff City and say, hey, fix this.
I know.
And
it's
I hope
baffling.
Republicans say, you fix it. Stop voting for this stuff.
Well, I'm with you on that. And look, I'll be honest. I've told the audience this. I wanted to vote in the executive race. Dennis Hancock is going to be the Republican nominee. I pulled the Democrat ballot today, and I voted for Senator Williams. So, you have the option to do that. I chose to get involved in that race because I think he's a better candidate than Jake. And maybe this is my fear, Scott. I will tell you this because, and you and I have known each other for a long time. We know a lot of the same people. There have been people that I've pinned my hopes on politically. And unfortunately, Eric Reitens is the exhibit A for this, that I really believed in, that I thought would be transformational, that I thought had ideas, that wasn't just someone who was trying to, get to the next position. Brian has convinced me that he's someone who truly is interested in solving problems. But I'm still taking kind of a guess on that because politicians let you down a lot.
Oh, listen, if anybody thought solving St. Louis's problems was easy, give me a break. It is wildly complicated. It's a very tough job. St. Louis is a complicated place. The fact is, we're all in this together. And I have personally tried to change some of my tone about St. Louis because when the governor took over the police department, it's time we're in this together. I think there's a fundamental question St. Louis has to answer for itself. Do you want to try to move forward? Do you want to try to put things together to improve or do you just want to fight? And St. Louis, frankly, looks like a mess that just wants to fight. And you have two choices here. You could elect a guy that's doing shady deals with politicians and all this other, I don't really know Jake Zimmerman that well, but he served in the legislature. He didn't leave with a great reputation here. The campaign he's ran, pulling sides. It's just you're going to have more of this same mess. And I don't know that Brian could do it because I don't know enough about it to know if it could be done. But I believe you have a chance as a younger person to turn the page, or you could just keep wallowing in the same mess. And if I had to guess, St. Louis will go St. Louis tonight.
Unfortunately, you might be right. We may toss you on during the coverage tonight, Scott, but I appreciate you jumping on with me this afternoon.
Love to visit with you, bud.
Right.
Talk to you later.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Westbound 70 out of downtown, not bad. A little bit slow. Mostly it's slowing at Highway K. And 64 looks like the usual volume. So that's Hampton out through McCausland. Eastbound a little slow, headed for 170. And southbound 170 is lined up, headed for 64. And westbound 64, slowing Lake St. Louis Boulevard out through the 70 split. Well, on southbound 270, it's just moderate volume now, but it stretches from Olive down to a point just south of Gravois. 55 slowing south of Highway M in the construction zone there. We're fine on the bridges if you're headed into Illinois. A little slow headed on 64, 55 for the 70 split. But most of the volume on the Illinois side is eastbound 64, 157 to 159. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, and they've got something new going on right now. They call it the Home Refresh Rebate. Call now and get $500 back on a qualifying garage door with a qualifying purchase. Must be made by September 30th. Visit overheaddoor.com to learn more and schedule a free estimate. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, let's talk about getting you a very dependable generator from Generator Supercenter of St. Louis, and it's very easy to get an estimate. And by the way, these are high-quality generators. They're not portable. They're going to kick in right when the power goes out. And you can get a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. One of the things that I try to instill upon you when I talk about Generator Supercenter is they maintain and they monitor these automatic standby generators. So certified maintenance and warranty work are important. A lot of competitors cannot do that or will not do that for you. So you want to make sure that you're going with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. That's why they're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. We've had some blips around here in the last couple of weeks due to storms. We had some warnings about the power grid and the potential of rolling blackouts. Luckily, that did not happen. But you're not too far from that, especially when in the past few summers we've had situations in different parts of the country, including Texas. When I was in Spain a couple of years ago, actually when I was in Greece last year, Spain and Portugal had issues with the power grid. So stop by the showroom in Chesterfield or call for a free estimate. And again, they do have financing and payments available. So if you want to investigate this, and I think it's a good idea, don't be the person that says, I wish I would have. Call 314-499-2020, Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com. Hey, it's Mark Reardon. Guns N' Roses is coming to Busch Stadium on August 16th, and we want to send you. Listen to my show all this week from 3 to 6 for your chance to win. Hey, let's do it right now. How about caller number 7 on the contest line? Ethan will take your call, 314-241-9797. Live Nation's been nice enough to give us some pairs of tickets to give away all this week. The show's coming up very quickly here on August 16th. Caller number, what did I say, Sue? Did I say caller number 7? Caller number 7 is a winner, 241-9797.
It's not pleasant to hear it, but Missouri is falling behind in its spending of state tax dollars, education, and health care. But there are ways to get Missouri moving forward again and produce a better life for all of us. That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2026 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can move to a brighter future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from taxes to government transparency, from education to healthcare and budget reform. Let's allow students to attend the school of their choice. Let's adopt new proven methods to help the many school kids who can barely read. Let's limit state spending growth for Missouri's long-term financial stability. And let's invest in future needs with more nuclear energy. Why not common sense reforms to make things better for all Missourians? Check out our 2026 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
I've noticed over the last 15 years, no, let's just say 10 years, how astronomical the prices to heat and cooler homes are for the equipment. Because there was a time when you would call me and it was affordable. If you have a house and you want air conditioning and you just want it to cool your house and you want to heat your house, I have a system that I made a special buy on that will do just that and save you money. Common sense will tell you if you just replace your old, and I'm talking 15, 20, 25, 30, 35-year-old system with a new system, you're going to save big dollars. If you're interested in that, call me. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. It's 314-293-2600. Again, it's Bart Inman, 314-293-2600. God bless.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. With a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You know, I did something, Sue, this summer that I haven't done probably since 1999 or 2000.
What?
I did not for 1 minute. I didn't for 1 minute watch the Tour de France. And I love the Tour de France. But
I watched a minute.
It got away from me, and I just never saw any of it, and there wasn't any drama. But some people don't know. You know, there's a female version of this, right? There's the female Tour de France, and that's going on right now. Are you familiar with the cheating scandal that is going on? So this is fascinating. I've never heard about this before. We know, and by the way, I'll admit, because I was one that was in denial about Lance Armstrong for a long time. I defended him.
Too.
But I'll also say that my interest in cycling and watching the Tour was much more fun when they were all cheating.
Yes.
And they were all cheating. It was kind of like the baseball thing, which doesn't even upset me that much because, again, they were all cheating. So there's a guy who's written about this for Barstool Sports, and he even says, which is funny because you understand cycling. A lot of people don't. He starts the thing by saying, I don't understand how a sport where one person is declared the winner is somehow a team event. Well, the reason is because you have riders that are surrounding you, protecting you. They're helping you in sprints, gain advantage. They're helping you in climbs by, leading you out and all this stuff. It is a team sport. But again, he says, I don't get why the person who doesn't cross the finish line first is the champion because it's all based on time, right? Yeah. I don't have the time right now to explain how cycling works. We'll have a good example of this with the Gateway Cup that comes into St. Louis in a few weeks. But here's the controversy. It's because the women are faking their breast size and their cup size.
What?
So the Tour de France Femmes is well underway, and Stage 4's individual time trial set to mark an early benchmark in the general classification. However, some teams have issued a plea to the race to enforce a UCI rule for unexpected reasons. Riders faking their breast size in the time trial.
Whoa.
I'm going to explain.
Okay.
Several women's teams have reportedly reached out to officials to enforce this regulation on placing items to exaggerate their cup size during the race against the clock. By doing so, riders can gain better aerodynamic advantage that could equate to as high as 0.78 seconds per kilometer. Now, that might not sound a lot, but in a time trial and in a sport where seconds actually matter, it absolutely is an issue.
Wait, I don't get it. So they fake it. They say that it's big, that they're bigger than they are. And how does that actually help them?
I don't really understand that because what he says is it's the racers with the biggest breasts. The large busted competitors can't simply pad their bras for the trials. They lose their curves for the actual race. So, I mean, you're going to have to tell me I don't have breasts that are large. The 3% difference, 3.6%, in resistance their mama gave them is there throughout every turn of the pedals, every rotation of the tires. They can't peel it off and stuff it back in their suitcase once the trials are over. So they were calling it like anti-large breast discrimination. The bigger your cannons are, the more it hurts your chances.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But why would I fake it if it's going to be worse for me? So I say that I'm larger, and then I take all the stuffing out when I do a time trial, and I'm suddenly faster.
I'm not sure if I completely understand
don't get
it. So it says a lot of the teams have called for the rules enforcement of the Grand Tour with artificially manipulating clothing sizes or shapes prohibited. The report states that the practice has been seen multiple times in recent months and years in time trials. According to the regulations, placing objects on the chest is prohibited. So in other words, they're putting something that is going to, give them, it's going to fit their bra size, and it's going to press them down a little bit more, where then the airflow is different, and then it creates this measurable, if not very small, measurable benefit over the course of multiple kilometers. And again, it doesn't seem like that's a lot, but it adds up over the course of a long race.
Yes.
The guy who wrote this for Barstool says, as more of a breast aerodynamics buff myself, I concur with his findings, even if I concede that much more extensive research needs to be done. But he says it's the racers with the biggest breasts. They can't pad their bras for the trials, and then they lose their curves. So that's what happens. I'd never heard of this before in my
their
life.
bras for the finals, but if I
in other words, they're wearing a kit, right?
Yeah.
So the kit does not have. You're not wearing a bra under the kit. It basically serves, I think, as more of a sports bra. That's kind of my understanding.
But then why is anybody faking it?
Because then
it is more aerodynamic. They just said it wasn't, so I don't get it.
Okay. I think the bottom line here is we don't understand what's happening with the Women's Tour de France, but they're asking the jury to enforce these rules that Sue and I still don't understand.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Okay, on the roads, westbound 6440 is Kings Highway out through McCausland as far as the slow go. And then out west, it really jams. Lake St. Louis Boulevard out through 70. Now, eastbound 64 is slowing Lindbergh through almost McKnight and a little bit at Big Bend. Westbound 70, not bad. Slow pocket or two past the airport and at K. Southbound 270, slow pockets Olive down through 21. We've got 55 slowing in that construction zone south of M. And we look good on the bridges downtown, but eastbound 64 slows 157 through 159. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Chest fairing, in this case, is a pad that is placed inside a jersey or skin suit to reduce aerodynamic drag and smooth airflow. So what's happening is they say that the padded bras can give these women the aerodynamic advantage. So they're using...
But they're lighter than real boobs, and that is somehow...
But they're faking their cup size so they can wear bigger bras. I'm still confused, Sue. I'll be honest with you.
Termites cause $5 billion in damage to homes and businesses in the U.S. every year. Call Point Pest Control now at 636-798-0023 and reclaim your space from unwanted pests. That's 636-798-0023. PointPestControl.com.
Right.
Did you know replacing old vinyl windows with more vinyl windows might not be the best choice? Hi, it's Kim, and I'm here to tell you about Infinity from Marvin Windows, because these fiberglass windows, they're energy efficient, they're beautiful, and they're custom built to fit your home perfectly. The team at Lakeside Renovation and Design just makes the process so easy. I love the fact that they even offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. Look, if you're tired of drafts, high energy bills, or maybe hard to open windows, now is the time to upgrade. Visit windowsbylakeside.com to schedule your free consultation today.
Hey, I want to talk about Susan L. Ward, who is a family practice attorney. You can read that divorce attorney, but she covers a lot of different areas related to family law. It's not just divorce. It is the aftermath of divorce. It's maybe even domestic violence or things along those lines, but she's really good at what she does. And they have a beautiful office that they've been in for, Susan's firm has been around for a long time, but they moved into a new office last May at 270 in Manchester in De Pere. They'd love to have you over. The website really is a way to get started. If you think you need her help, or maybe you're someone out there that knows somebody that needs help and you can make a recommendation. I remember when I needed a divorce attorney, I just simply went to another friend of mine who was a lawyer in Milwaukee, and she said, hey, I got someone who's kind of new at this. And that was the worst thing I could have done. A newbie is not the way you want to go. You want to go with experience. That's what you're going to get with Susan and her team. You can find out more by contacting them at any time at 314-783-9400 or the website, stlfamilylaw.com. The focus on family law, the emphasis on you. Susan L. Warden, do us a huge favor. Tell them that we sent you over.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
The Missouri primary is tonight, and we have you covered.
Join me, Mark Reardon, along with our expert panel as we break down the biggest races, critical amendments, and results in real time.
Tonight, comprehensive election coverage on 97.1 FM Talk. KFTK FM Florissant.
An Odyssey station.
A suspected arsonist in court. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Aaron Farinacci being held on $1 million bail after he was charged with setting Spokane's largest wildfire. Farinacci was arrested yesterday and booked on suspicion of first-degree arson in connection with the Old Trails fire.
It is the state's position that, given the nature of the charges, given the nature of this offense, that the defendant poses a danger to the community.
Spokane County Prosecutor Preston McCollum. The fire destroyed at least 700 buildings and forced tens of thousands from their homes. Last year, authorities questioned him in connection with 2 other fires in Spokane, and he served about a decade in prison in Arizona after he was convicted of killing his father in 2010. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Fire Department has determined the cause of one of last year's deadly wildfires.
It was arcing from a transmission tower owned by Southern California Edison that sparked the deadly Eaton fire in January of last year. The Los Angeles Fire Department says it reached that conclusion after 18 months of investigation that included electrical and metallurgical experts. Whipped by Santa Ana winds, the fire scorched 22 square miles, destroying thousands of structures and leaving 19 people dead. Southern California Edison says the finding is probably correct, but adds water agencies did not provide enough water to fight the fire.
Fox's Jack Callahan. UK officials say a cargo ship passing through the Strait of Hormuz was hit by what they're calling an unknown projectile as Iran keeps up its blockade on the vital waterway.
Despite this continued violence and continued reports of attacks against commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, administration officials continue to be confident that a deal for free passage of all commercial shipping through that strait is really on the horizon.
Fox's Steve Harrigan in Tel Aviv. Wall Street, all 3 major indexes hit new high. The Dow shot up 907 points. The Nasdaq plus 671. America's listening to Fox News.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil, one simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to Metamucil.com for more details.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
It's another pretty nice evening around town. Clear skies in play. Temperatures will take a drop out of the 80s, but it will take a little time. 69 for the overnight low. Wednesday, partly to mostly sunny skies. A warm to hot afternoon. 91 degrees. An increase in the humidity slowly. Wednesday night, scattered showers and thunderstorms around 72. Thursday, partly sunny, but scattered showers and thunderstorms are again possible. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Okay, just kind of stating part of the obvious here. I don't have boobs, so I'm not maybe qualified to speak on the topic. So we've done a deeper dive here with Sue, who's going to take on the challenge of explaining why this controversy in the Tour de France in the women's division is such. So they're padding their bras, and that's the controversy, right?
Yes, and they say that a bigger bust ensures that the air flows straight through the legs. Picture yourself on a bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
It's more aerodynamic the bigger boobs you have as far as the airflow goes. So those who aren't as well endowed are stuffing to make it bigger, but that is lighter than if you actually have big boobs.
Right.
So they have a weight and an aerodynamic advantage.
Who knew? Didn't know this was a controversy.
I didn't either.
But apparently, again, there's an advantage that is very small. But again, if you're in a time trial or something, I mean, those races are based on time. I mean, so that's interesting. Good to have a controversy in the womenn's division. I kind of like that. Apparently, in the story that I read in the New York Post, they said that something like this happened in the Olympics as well, maybe in the cycling
so it's
in the
been
Olympics.
A thing for a while.
Maybe it has been. Hey, we have Tech Talk Tuesdays with George Rosenthal coming up at the bottom of the hour. After that, we'll get some Jimmy Fallon for an hour, but then John Lamping and I are going to take over election coverage tonight from 7 until probably about 10 o'clock. We're covering not only the Missouri races, St. Charles County Executive, St. Louis County Executive, Steve Butts and Gina Mitten in a really tough Senate district race here. We have all the constitutional amendments. We're going to cover all that and the national races. Michigan is a big focus tonight. Let's talk about some of this with our friend David Strom, associate editor of hotair.com. He's up in Minnesota, not in Michigan, but it's still a crazy state, so we can make that kind of comparison. How are you this afternoon, Dave?
Great, although I'm thinking of Sydney Sweeney on a bike.
There's the image that you've come up with during our intro. What are you? Here's a question for you, just because this is getting a little national attention. We vote on the possibility here in Missouri to phase out our income tax. Now it's gonna fail. Unfortunately, they kind of mangled the campaign. But are you hearing? Is that on your radar at all? The Missouri races from up there in Minnesota. I'm just curious.
Well, Missouri's a red state, so no one's paying attention.
That's probable. Well, that is part of the problem, right? We have local races here, and because we are a red state, I think you're right. Now, Michigan, look, David, I don't know what to make of that. This El Sayed guy is extremely radical. He's got a big lead, unless the polls are wrong. And Haley Stevens is no moderate. I mean, she wants to play herself off as a moderate, but she's not a moderate. So what are they in store for tonight in Michigan? I mean, if El Sayed wins, if you believe the polling right now, Mike Rogers might have a small advantage of him in the general. But you can't count anything out in a climate like this, I don't think.
Well, yeah. I mean, the macro climate suggests that Democrats should do well in the midterms. I mean, just basically the party out of power tends to do well, except in extraordinary situations. The mood of the country is relatively sour, because there's still this, inflation is about a point above where the Fed wants it to be. Nobody likes what's happening in the Iran war. So normally you would expect that Democrats probably would get, a 4 to 5 point bump. But it's not just Michigan. Next week, we've got Wisconsin, where Francesca Hong is, if anything, more radical.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Than El Sayed. El Sayed, is radical on a lot of the economic issues, as the Democratic Socialists are. But, of course, he's got the Islamist vote in his back pocket, and
that's a big portion in Michigan, right? That's a big portion of the vote.
Oh, I tell you, my father-in-law lives in West Bloomfield, which is in between Detroit and Dearborn, and every Uber driver we ever get is Muslim. And some are nice and some are Islamist, and you get to know that from them because they're pretty aggressive about telling you. And so that's a big deal in Michigan. But Michigan is a swing state. Wisconsin's a swing state. And so you've got this huge disconnect between where the Democratic Party is going, which is lurching left, lurching towards pretty rabid anti-Semitism. To give you an idea of how bad it is in Michigan, the Attorney General, the incumbent Democratic Attorney General, who is, a homosexual, progressive, pretty strongly left-wing Attorney General, Democrat, and she wouldn't go to the Democratic convention because she didn't feel safe. That's how bad things have gotten.
It's crazy. And, you mentioned Faughn in Wisconsin. I can't believe some of the things. I mean, today the story is she thinks Thanksgiving is painful for some people. I'd like to know who those people are and whether or not we should really have them in this country. So, yeah, she's scary up there. They ran off, I think it was Mandela Barnes was the lieutenant governor. I think he had some Me Too issues, so they ran him off.
Yep.
This may really kind of favor a Republican victory in Wisconsin, but Wisconsin's a weird state, like Michigan, and I think like yours. Now, you guys have your primary next Tuesday. Is that correct, David, in Minnesota?
You think I'm paying attention to Minnesota politics? It's a lost cause.
Well, all right. The only reason I ask is because our friend Michelle Tafoya is on the ballot, and she's going to win the Republican nomination.
Yes.
So she'll face someone by the name of, is it Peggy Flanagan?
Well, we'll have to see because it's a fairly close race. You've got Peggy Flanagan, who is really a DSA-type candidate, and then she's running against an incumbent congresswoman who herself, she's a lesbian. She's, about as close to a moderate Democrat as you can get, but she's still radical anti-ICE. She would count as a progressive in just about any state. But she, basically, Haley Stevens can't win in Michigan, and I think there are a lot of Democratic candidates who can't win because they're unwilling to say from the river to the sea. They're unwilling to say that Israel should be gone. That's the dividing line right now, and we'll have to see in Minnesota which one of them comes out on top. Flanagan has got the problem of the fraud because she's the lieutenant governor under Waltz.
Aha.
So that might be enough to, sort of knock her out of the contention. But I genuinely don't know. It all depends upon who actually shows up. And right now, the fired up people are the socialists.
Yeah, it's interesting. We keep mentioning this, and I don't know what's going to happen here, but we have Cori Bush back on a ballot, trying to take back her seat here in the 1st Congressional District in the St. Louis area against the incumbent Wesley Bell. He used to be our St. Louis County prosecutor, but again, he's no common sense Democrat. He's a progressive. He would pretty much vote the same way that Cori would on 99% of the issues. He's just worked more cooperatively with our Republican members of the House and the Senate to secure some things, for Missouri in which Cori wouldn't even take part in. So we may have a little bit of a signal on which way the Democrats are going here in Missouri on that race as well. David Strom is here from hotair.com. Let's talk about a couple other things. I was looking to see if I thought I had audio of this. It's just a quick soundbite, but I love this guy who is the governor of Washington State, Governor Inslee, who was talking about this wildfire in Spokane where an arson suspect was just arrested, and he wants to blame climate change, right?
Yeah, well, climate change can literally do anything. It is the all-purpose reason for all bad things that have ever happened. I mean, the same thing happened with the Palisades fire, where climate change was the cause, and the fact that somebody actually lit the match, and then of course the Los Angeles Fire Department wasn't allowed to put the fire out because of endangered species plants or something like that. None of that matters. It really is climate change, because there never were fires before climate change.
Of course there were.
That's the new line of the Democrats. And, everything, migrant crises are illegal immigration is caused by climate change. Crime is caused by climate change. The fact that there were Republicans who lived is caused by climate change.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is the all-purpose explanation. And, it basically comes down to it's the Republicans' fault.
Always is. And in this case, you have fires that have displaced 70,000 people, burned down 700 buildings. But this guy, as you highlight in one of your columns, this guy's name is Aaron Farinacci. He's 37 years old. Back in 2010 in Mesa, Arizona, he gets into an argument with his dad because his father asked him to do something really, really hard, do the dishes. So he shoots his dad dead. Then he points the gun at his mother. Then he shoots himself, and he survives. So he's charged with first-degree murder. That gets knocked down to manslaughter. He gets out relatively quickly. Now he's the guy charged with setting these devastating fires in Spokane that are blamed on climate change. He had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just points out that, it's like all the liberal idiocy comes together, because, of course, you've got the soft on crime element, the embracing of mental illness as an excuse for everything, or even something to be celebrated. And, the guy goes out there. I mean, none of these people, you would say none of these people wind up in jail until they kill someone. This guy actually killed someone, and he still is out on the street.
The question is, how does a guy who pled guilty to killing his own dad end up free with a lighter next to 70,000 people's homes, right? Valid question.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, incarceration doesn't solve anything, right? I mean, we know that we have to go to the root causes of crime, which are, of course, white supremacy and carbon dioxide.
Hey, well, before I let you go, David Strom, I noticed that something just posted here a short time ago on Hot Air. You wrote about this Washington Post story about the fact that the Vances have a chicken coop. Now, I read this story a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if there's an update to this, but I think part of the point is that you're given more attention in the Washington Post to some chicken coops that J.D. Vance and his wife Usha have than you are the Fauci diaries.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and first of all, normally this would be a human interest story, right? If this were Michelle Obama, it would be about the wonders of chicken. And this was, a full-scale investigative report on the chicken coop. How much money did they spend? Did it violate Washington law? Why are they doing this? They actually talked about this. Usha Vance, who, she's a power lawyer, right? I mean, she's got this incredible career on her own. And they were saying, well, maybe it's because they're trying to signal that people should be trad wives. I mean, it's just, and of course, who do they go to? A non-binary chicken expert who uses chickens as emotional support animals. I mean, it's just bizarre.
Yeah. So wait, I got to stop you there. So the line is, about political motivations behind the flock's appearance. It's a theory that resonates with Danny Bowers, who keeps 19 chickens on a suburban property in Utah County, Utah. Bowers, who uses they-them pronouns, points out that some conservatives have embraced the values espoused by trad wife influencers, many of whom raise chickens. That is unbelievable that gets into print in the Washington Post, but this is where we are. And they're actually one of the publications that maybe trending on the better side of equal coverage, but you still get this.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is they've got so many legacy reporters. I mean, they've been firing people left and right because Bezos has figured out that it's a losing proposition to have these radical left-wingers. But there are unions there. It's hard to fire people, and so you've got people like this who are still writing the most absurd stories. And the funny thing is, if you sort of read that story and try to parse it out, there's a simple explanation for why they got a chicken coop. They've got 4 kids. They took them to a petting zoo. A couple of the boys love the chickens, and they're big egg eaters. So they built a chicken coop.
We got a lot of folks here who have chickens in their backyards in St. Louis, the St. Louis area. Yeah, it's not something that's crazy. I guess maybe it's crazy for the Washington Post. And by the way, trad wife, all that means is traditional wife, right? It's just an abbreviation for that. So interesting. David Strom, enjoy election night tonight. You can always tune in to 97.1 FM Talk from 7 until 10. We'll be covering it, but I appreciate you coming on this afternoon.
Always a pleasure.
All right, take care. We'll talk after Minnesota next week.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Westbound 6440, slow pockets from Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound, slow pockets east of Lindbergh through Big Bend. And out west, it's a real jam. They've got the left lane down for road work near Prospect, so it's slow Lake St. Louis Boulevard on out. Headed into Illinois, we're fine on the bridges. 64, though, jams east of 157. That, of course, is all due to road work. And if you are traveling through North County, things are fine. Southbound 270, slow pockets from Olive down through 21. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. We'd like to congratulate them. It's their 50-year anniversary, and you don't stay in business that long by not supplying quality products and outstanding service. The key, they say, is their experienced staff. So contact Barron Mirror Glass and Door today and let them show you why 50 years is just a start. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, let's talk about maybe accessing some cash from your home. And you say, wait a second, I can't do that because I have a low mortgage rate. I don't want to refi. Why would I do that? Well, I'm going to tell you why you do that, because you're going to get a great offer from Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage here in St. Louis. And he makes it so simple. One of the things that he created was called the Bagel Loan. And the Bagel Loan is something, if you Google the Bagel Loan, you'll see Stewie's contact. It'll come right up. His cell phone is on there. What's great about that is you can text him, you can call him directly, you're not going to wait on hold. The Bagel Loan was literally created to save you thousands of dollars because you pay no appraisal fees, no closing costs, no title fees, and no broker fees. Plus, he can get you closed in as little as 10 days. One offer that we've been dangling out there, and Stewie's having a lot of success with this, is if you are purchasing a home, he's going to offer you a 1% discount on that rate for the first year. On refis, he will offer you a 1% discount if you go from an FHA to a conventional, and you still get the Bagel Loan. So it's a real big advantage. You got great service, quick closes, transparency. One of the other things is you're going to get a pre-approval option. When you're negotiating, you need to show approval for a higher loan value. With Stewie, he's going to show you how you can change your own pre-approval letter, and that gives you a big advantage as well. So Google the Bagel Loan or call or text his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440, NMLS number 226715.
It's Mark Cox. Celebrate the month of August with Zero Res. Buy 2 rooms of carpet clean, get 2 rooms free, plus take 20% off air ducts and products. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the savings.
Listen up. If you have not paid self-employment, business, or individual taxes in years, the IRS will find you. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. I offer real solutions. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120 or visit LanceDruryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
If you're a business or brand that's still paying for ads people skip or ignore, that's cute. Try a new method of advertising your customers can't mute. Join our mobile movement so you don't get left in our dust, because stationary billboards are a bust. Big, bold, loud, and in-your-face advertising that doesn't wait for traffic. We drive through it, bringing your business or brand right to your customers' eyes. You can't delete it. You can't trash it or swipe right. Hell, you can't even ignore it. The answer? The moving billboards, baby. We circulate around any high-traffic venue, capturing people's attention when they're making decisions. Inside stadiums, big brands compete for attention, but outside the stadium, we own the street media. Because in a world that's went mobile, your advertising should too. Try moving billboards. They really work. PinkTiger.ai.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is, who do you hire? At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
You know, I think we all know that there are things that happen in the news that we're just baffled by. There's so many things I don't understand right now about the WNBA. It's so confusing. And let me offer you another example here over the Sophie Cunningham controversy, and why it's a controversy is just utterly ridiculous. I mean, we live in a country where one of the members of the Supreme Court can't even define what a woman is. You have campaigns in many, many states where leading candidates refuse to define what a woman is. So Riley Gaines is at the Indiana Fever Minnesota Lynx game a couple of nights ago, the one where the coach of the Lynx wore her pro-trans shirt, and allegedly not allegedly, they admitted Sophie Cunningham, who is one of the stars with Caitlin Clark on the Fever, former Mizzou player as well, she's from Columbia, Missouri, finally stood up for women, and for real women who don't have penises. And, you know, this took off in a way that has been very interesting because a lot of the WNBA coaches are, I guess, desiring men with penises on their teams because they are not standing up for Sophie Cunningham at all. They're standing up for women who have mental illnesses, who are, you know, thinking that they're men and vice versa. So there was a sign that Riley Gaines had at the game, and it simply said, "Sophie, thank you, a girl mom." That's all it said. There were an image of a basketball, no, 2 basketballs, and 3 hearts. And the sign simply says, "Sophie, thank you." Riley Gaines was told she could not have that sign. A security staff member at the Target Center told her this. So what they did was, and I'm going to play you what she says, Jen Say, who's a friend of the show and a personal friend, she runs XXXY Athletics. Riley Gaines and Jen were wearing XXXY shirts, and because they couldn't hold the sign, and again, all the sign said was, "Sophie, thank you, a girl mom," Sophie Cunningham held the sign, and that got a lot of attention. But listen to this nonsense.
And I could have assumed that the league or someone affiliated with the league would not have wanted me to have that sign there. So I was very careful going into the game. I looked up all of the rules. I knew it had to be on an 11 by 17-inch piece of paper or poster board. I left no derogatory comment, nothing negative, nothing political. My sign said, "Sophie, comma, thank you." Signed, a girl mom. A lot kinder than a lot of the signs that I saw in there, I'll tell you that.
Well, and I want to stop there because she's right. Look, some of the signs that have been, like there was this big fat woman who had a sign that said, "I thought I couldn't hate somebody more than Caitlin Clark, but thank you, Sophie Cunningham." It's been vile. These are things that shouldn't be allowed in these arenas. But if you're on one side of this issue, which is men with penises get to play against women, well, then you get away with anything you want.
Someone from across the court, I'm assuming it was someone who was maybe a security person affiliated. He was very obviously with either the Target Center or the WNBA. He looks at me, he says, "Put that sign down." And I'm looking around, there's like 1,000 signs beside me. And so I keep holding, and he comes over there, he says, "You can't have your sign." I said, "Well, why?" He said, "Well, it has her name on it." I said, "I can't have this sign because it has Sophie's name on it?" He said, that's right, you can't. It shows you that the league very clearly has an agenda that they are trying to purport that is not representative of reality at all.
This is amazing. I mean, did you see the sign? Did I show it to you? Okay, that's all it says. Look, it says, Sophie, thank you, dash a girl mom. And there's 2 images of a basketball and 3 hearts. That's all it was. The security at the Target Center tells Riley Gaines she can't hold that sign because it says Sophie's name on it.
Well, that makes no sense.
It's idiocy.
The only people that the Lynx or whoever was in charge of the camera put on the Jumbotron were people who were draped in their pride flags and their trans flags, who had their trans signs. Some of those wearing those shirts that says protect trans kids or protect trans lives that have a literal knife on it, an object that is used and intended for violence. And then you have Cheryl Reeves, the coach, wearing a shirt that says trans kids belong. They say that Sophie has aligned herself politically conservative because she has stood by the slogan of protect women's sports. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. If protect women's sports is deemed political like they say, then so is trans kids belong. The league often says they have a problem with people like Sophie bringing politics into sports. The league doesn't have a problem with politics in
That's right.
sports.
They don't.
They have a problem with conservative politics in sports. And I will tell you, Sean, every time Sophie was on the court, every time she was subbed in, every time she threw up the ball, she was booed by the entire stadium virtually, bar me and Jen Say, who is sitting next to me, owner of XXXY Athletics. They're trying to do to her what they've done to people like me, what they do to people like you. But I will tell you that Sophie is absolutely unshakable. She is unwavering, and that makes her uncancelable. And that sort of confidence and courage that she exudes is certainly contagious.
The WNBA and its coaches are disgusting. You had an owner, a co-owner of a team, went and made 2 16-year-old girls, brought them to tears because they had a sign supporting Sophie Cunningham. What's happening, and I think I'm glad this is happening, really. We've been waiting for a while for this to happen, and finally it's happening. And you know what else happened? Ariana Sabalenka said this.
The WTA recently announced that the players will take a one-time gender test. How do you feel about that? The first pro league to go in that direction.
I think it's really important to keep the fairness in our tour, and it's obvious that biologically, right, the men are way stronger than women, so I feel like it would be not really fair for the woman to compete against biological men.
You think? And she's the number 1 ranked tennis player in the world. So, and Martina Navratilova, lesbian, is on her side, is on Riley Gaines' side on this, right? So it's just nonsense that this is even an issue. And the way that the media covers it is like the majority of the country is on the other side. The 20,000 or 10,000 or whatever people in the Target Center cheering for, the team because of the trans issue. And by the way, there are people, and Jen Say has been documenting this, hurling the C word at some of these women at these games. Disgusting.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
I don't know why anybody goes to these games.
Well,
that
they
would
go
be
to
the
games to see
answer.
Caitlin Clark, and they don't even recognize that she's bringing people to the games.
Well, we've got a little bit of volume on westbound 70, not much, just a little bit at 141. And 6440 is still lined up, approaching Hampton out through McCausland with eastbound slowing at the inner belt. And westbound really jams again as you head for Prospect. They've got a lane down for road work. Southbound 270, slow pockets Olive down through Gravois. 55 really isn't bad. And if you are headed into Illinois, we're fine on the bridges, but 64 eastbound is slow, 157 through 159. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, Sue, it's Tech Talk Tuesday.
Yay!
George Rosenthal coming up.
Brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Why pay full insurance when you can customize and save? Switch to Liberty Mutual and they'll customize your auto and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Suffering from knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, or tennis elbow caused by arthritis, inflammation, or an injury? STL Joint Relief, now open in St. Peter's, offers a non-surgical, non-narcotic solution that can provide lasting relief. Using advanced ultrasound guidance, we pinpoint the exact source of your pain, allowing for precise treatment that targets the problem not just the symptoms. Best of all, STL Joint Relief accepts all insurance. Learn more and schedule your appointment at stljointrelief.com.
Last year, we had 295 trials where we've been offered a total of $90 million on all those cases. When the dust settled, we had recovered over $1.1 billion in verdicts and mid-trial settlements. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason. We won a lot, $30 billion and counting. The best part of all those wins is that it helps you when you hire us. All those wins allow us to let the insurance company know we mean business. And believe me, they know who we are. If you've been injured, Google Morgan & Morgan results. You're not bragging if it's a fact. 3 million people tried to hire us last year alone. That happened for a reason. Visit forthepeople.com and let's get started this minute. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Spring is here in St. Louis, and if you're thinking about selling, now's the time. But timing is only part of it. Hey, it's Mark Cox, and I'm with Gloria Liu, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria, why is it still so important to choose the right realtor?
Simple. Not every home is selling fast or for top dollar. Here's the difference. I already have the buyers. With over 2,400 buyers in waiting, I'm not just listing your home and matching it with demand. That's how I offer my guaranteed sale program. We sit down, agree on the price and timeline, and if your home doesn't sell, I'll buy it myself. But my goal isn't to buy your home, it's to sell it for the most money possible in the least amount of time. And that's exactly what my system does. My clients don't have to hope their home sells. I guarantee it.
If you're selling your home this spring, call the one I trust, Gloria Liu, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
5:34. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. Built in the heartland, for the heartland. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative. Tech Talk Tuesday with George Rosenthal of ThrottleNet. ThrottleNet.com.
Oops, I kind of talked over that. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, George Rosenthal. How are you this afternoon?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me on once again. We had a crazy, busy week.
I want to start with this, Joe, because I meant to do this yesterday and I never got to it. This is a professor who was testing his students and seeing if they were using AI on their tests. So listen to what he did.
Looks normal, right? But if you copy and paste this and look closely, in white ink, I placed the word Madagascar somewhere in the response in a way that makes no sense. But if you uncopy and paste it, you can't see it.
So he had it basically in a different color than the rest of the text, and you really couldn't see it. So what they were doing is they were copying and pasting it. Now, there were 35 students in his class. You know how many fell for it? 32.
Madagascar floats sideways through the afternoon. Madagascar purple bicycle whispers to the ceiling. Madagascar wore a toaster to a basketball game, but also blurs the lines between work and personal life, potentially impacting family interactions, much like a long journey to Madagascar might have once influenced family visits.
George, there are people listening right now that are paying $60,000 to $80,000 for their students and their kids to go to these fancy schools to cheat with AI. There's a good investment, right?
Unbelievable. I mean, what does that do to your entire degree? I mean, yes, and the fact is, I saw one of them where he put the word Frankenstein somewhere in your essay, but it has nothing that he had. It was a history class.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with Frankenstein, and it was great. I mean, if you just make your font a 1-point font or even a 0-point font and make it the same color as the background, whether it's black or white in dark mode or white mode, and if you put it in between a paragraph, so you have a paragraph break, so there's a normal white line there between the next paragraph, and that's where you would put your 1-point font text. It's genius in such a simple way. It really is, because the AI, opposite of that, the AI detectors are failing because they're seeing it as it coming from the original paster, that it was part of what was requested by the professor. So the AI detectors aren't even catching on. But obviously, it's a matter of time before the students start figuring out, I need to start changing font sizes and colors to make sure there's nothing weird in there.
Yeah, it's unreal. All right, let's get to some of the topics that you sent over. This is something that I experienced. So you're talking about how some of the engines, the search engines, Google, I don't know who uses Bing, maybe there's 2 or 3 people out there, and some of the other ones, like when I do a search, you always have the first thing that comes up is the AI response, right? And sometimes I'm actually looking for a news story or something that links to a news story or things along those lines. Now, you can page down and you can find that, but for the most part, the answers that you're given are AI created, right? So you're calling this like a zero-click reality?
Yeah, this is a zero-click reality, and the new statistics that are out is over 60%. This is a lot. So 60% of all web searches are solved right there at the top of the page by AI. There's not, a reason to have a bunch of links and go to a bunch of websites and do your own research. And then what's even more strong about the argument is that you can ask AI right there in the Google page to do research on Target, Walmart, Amazon, and find me the best place to get the product and give me the link for it, and then I'll click a link and actually go buy something. So the days of getting a search and then having to click through 5 or 10 different links, that's going away very quickly. So it's up to companies to adjust very, very fast and make sure that they understand that their website may not ever be found, because just because you have a link and a bunch of lists of websites doesn't mean anybody's ever going to go to it. And you know what? I think this is going to lead to what Elon Musk was talking about, and that is the end of the phone as we know it in the next 5 to 7 years, and that is applications that are on phones are going to go away, and you simply just talk to the AI and it delivers exactly what you need. So if you need a text from John to be emailed to Sue, and I need you to also send me a copy of it, but then put a reminder in my calendar to follow up tomorrow about that email, that's 3 or 4 different apps I would have had to have opened to do the task.
Well,
open the text message, find the picture, send the email. Well, that's all going away. So it's something that everyone needs to be very aware of as to how you're going to find and how your business is going to be found on the internet.
So, yeah, because look, companies spend money on SEO to make sure that when people are searching for things that they come up at the top of the page, right?
Absolutely. Oh, they spend tens and tens of thousands of dollars. Some big companies spend millions of dollars per month. So, yes, it is a very big expense for companies. And now the question is going to be, how does it all change?
I'll tell you how it changes. More radio advertising. That's how it should damn well change right now. I've got the fix for it.
Oh, that's great. That's exactly right. More radio advertising, more content. That's right.
Maybe,
Exactly.
maybe in a weird way it will, bring us back to more traditional advertising. I don't know. That's an
may.
unusual consequence, I think.
It may, because right now we're at the beginning, we're at the novelty stage where everything is going to be trusted that AI says. And I'm telling you, you can't do that. You have to verify every single output that AI gives you. So, yes, it's great. Yes, it's awesome. There's a bunch of automated agents and things that can you get it to work for you throughout the day. But you've got to be able to look at it. Again, the homework assignment from the professor. Read your homework before you turn it in.
Gosh.
Before, God forbid, you send out an email to the whole company and you didn't read it because you trusted AI to give you the response.
And I think that's happening.
Don't do that.
It is happening. And if I were sending a document, a real estate thing, if I'm sending a document, I would not trust that for a second.
No, exactly. I mean, now obviously it's going to get smarter and smarter and smarter. It never gets dumber. So we're at the dumbest part that AI is going to be. So yes, the trust is going to get built. But right now, just verify.
George Rosenthal is here. It's Tech Talk Tuesdays. He's with Throttle. Now, your company actually protects businesses from some of these cyber threats. But what you're telling me, one of the topics today, is that you have underwriters for cyber insurance that are tightening requirements right now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is getting crazy. So if you have cyber insurance, congratulations, because first you got approved. Second, you're paying the cheapest premium you'll probably ever pay because they're only going to go up. But if you don't have cyber insurance, you have got to get on that quickly. I know it's for when the boat has sank and you're trying to bring the boat back up out of the water, but it's insurance that can save you financially from a ransom attack, on top of the fact of the PR and lawyers you're going to need from the lawsuits that come from that attack. If you do not have multi-form factor authentication, if you don't have automatic patch management for your operation systems, if you don't have endpoint detection, meaning it's looking at every endpoint you have and looking for changes in a hack or something, if you don't have those three basic things, you can't even get cyber insurance. And I will never forget the one we had a client long ago who said, well, I don't need any cybersecurity protections because I have cyber insurance. The insurance is for after it's all over and your company is out of business. That is a way to hopefully maybe recover if you can get the money out of them, because if you are off on one thing that you have told them, so let's say there's 200 items and you tell them that you do all these 200 items and you get a great premium price, and you get an attack and you don't do all of those 200 items, the insurance company will find a reason not to pay your claim. And you will not get paid. And it's happening every single day. So just because you have cyber insurance doesn't mean you're set it and forget it. This is not life insurance. It's cyber insurance. This is something you have to consider it like an annual audit every year. And if you are not doing what you told the insurance company you do on the application, they will catch you in the lie after it's over, and you will not get paid.
It makes sense. I am not defending the insurance companies, but I know that I would certainly do that. George Rosenthal is here. We're going to run out of time, but I want you to talk about Innovation Night at the Ballpark. It's something that I'm going to participate here in just a couple of weeks, so I want you to put the invite out there for the audience.
Yeah, this is a great event that we're doing. We're so happy you're going to be there, Mark. We're going to be talking about AI and automation. It's a private invite-only event, but I'm putting the word out there for folks if you want to come to it. If you have a business with 20 or more employees and you want to learn more about Microsoft Copilot and how AI and automation is all coming together, I would encourage you to come to this. It's a free, a private suite, of course, all you can eat, all you can drink, baseball game on Tuesday, August 25th. We're going to have you, of course, Mark, Reed Lowe, former player of the Blues, and, of course, Ricky Horton, current Cardinal broadcaster, and beloved former Cardinal, of course, will be there as well. So if you own a business, I would highly encourage you to come to this Cardinal event to learn more about what's going on in the AI and automated world.
Just go to throttlenet.com or something added to that.
Thank you. That would kind of help, wouldn't it? Yes, throttlenet.com/Cardinals.
Okay.
So throttlenet.com/Cardinals.
I look forward to it. It's in a couple of Tuesday nights. The Orioles are in town against Baltimore.
Three Tuesdays from today.
Which will be here, by the way, before you know it. And by the way, that will be, you know what else I'll be celebrating that day? The second day of my daughter being back in school. It cannot happen fast enough, George. You have a great week. We'll talk next week.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Westbound 6440 is lined up. It's approaching Hampton out through McCausland. In fact, we had a report of an accident near there, causing that delay. Eastbound traffic slowing at Big Bend, but it looks fine on the bridges. Out west, a slow go. And this is 64 approaching Prospect out through the 70 split. They've got a lane down for road work. Southbound 270, moderate volume now south of 64 down through Doherty Ferry, and 55's in good shape. We're quiet on the bridges, but 64 on the Illinois side slows approaching 159. And westbound 5570 have slow pockets in a construction zone, 255 to just past 111. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they have been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out, from windows and siding to kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces. They give you quality craftsmanship and lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. Guns N' Roses is coming to Busch Stadium on August 16th, and we want to send you. Listen to my show all this week from 3 to 6 for your chance to win.
If you're a business or brand that's still paying for ads people skip or ignore, that's cute. Try a new method of advertising your customers can't mute. Join our mobile movement so you don't get left in our dust because stationary billboards are a bust. Big, bold, loud, and in-your-face advertising that doesn't wait for traffic. We drive through it, bringing your business or brand right to your customers' eyes. You can't delete it. You can't trash it or swipe right. Hell, you can't even ignore it. The answer? The moving billboards, baby. We circulate around any high-traffic venue, capturing people's attention when they're making decisions. Inside stadiums, big brands compete for attention, but outside the stadium, we own the street media. Because in a world that's went mobile, your advertising should too. Try moving billboards. They really work. PinkTiger.ai.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Do you have any evergreens in your yard? It might be time for a health checkup. Mark Cox here for Hanson's Tree Service. My friend Chad Hanson tells me he's been seeing a lot of evergreens dying due to environmental issues from the last couple of years. A winter drought 2 years ago, combined by a very wet spring, is wreaking havoc on a lot of these evergreens. Let Hanson's Tree Service help. Call them today at 636-379-1830 or online at hansonstree.com.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. Call 314-499-2020. That's 499-2020 or GeneratorSupercenterofStLouis.com. That's GeneratorSupercenterofStLouis.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis conservative.
All right, I have audio cut of the day coming up here in just a couple of minutes, but I want to remind you that our election night coverage begins at 7 p.m. tonight. I'm going to take an hour break here, maybe grab a little food. Former Senator John Lamping is going to join me in the studio, and we'll start covering the results and the, obviously some of the things from across the country as well. Big primary in Michigan. I had Scott Jennings on the show. We kind of broke some of this stuff down in the 3 o'clock hour. I'm very likely to roll that interview back, plus Ryan Recker, who I think he said is filling in for Annie tomorrow. Ryan's up in Detroit. Yeah, he's got a good handle on the El Sayed Haley Stevens race. So big implications. I think there's a lot of interest. Even Jennings mentioned this on the Cori Bush-Wesley Bell race here, but obviously we're going to be talking about the amendments, Amendment 4 and 5, the St. Charles County Executive race, the St. Louis County Executive race, some state Senate races of interest. So there's a lot to cover tonight, and Senator Lamping and I have done this many times before. We'll have a good time, and you will enjoy the listening. And by the way, our sister station usually does a fair amount of election coverage. I was on KMOX for 15 years doing election coverage. They have a baseball game tonight, so if you want election coverage, you can tune here to 97.1 FM Talk. And we got some folks who are out there at some of the parties and the events that will check in with us as well. All right, let's do this here.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Well, it's my former state. I lived there for 9.5 years. When I was in Wisconsin, we had Republican governors like Tommy Thompson, who was an interesting person who went to work in the Bush administration. Then we had, who the hell was he? Scott Oh, my God. He was very boring, but he was a Republican governor. But they've had this Tony Evers guy for a while. Now you have a Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes was running for governor. They shooed him out because of some Me Too stuff, right? So he dropped out of the race. You're left with this woman, Francesca Hong, who is beyond crazy. And I guess I have to give a little credit here to Caitlin Collins from CNN. She's the one who never smiles. Trump points her out all the time because she actually asked this question, which is an important question.
One thing that they brought up as well was a post from you in 2021 where you said Americans should cancel Thanksgiving, should have done this in 1621. The post has been deleted. Republicans have been highlighting it. Do you still believe that Thanksgiving should be canceled?
I'm a chef, and one of the first meals that I made that was for the community when I was 16 was a Thanksgiving meal. You know, I always think my hospitality background in owning a restaurant for 7-8 years, that bringing folks around the table to share conversation and build community is always a good thing. But Thanksgiving is also a time that's incredibly painful for many people in our communities. And so I think I wanted to make sure that people understood that there are multiple views, but views can evolve. And the position that I'm running for right now, and I think my background as a chef, will actually help me become a better governor that's able to bring more people to the table.
Yeah, okay.
Are you kidding me?
She's facing...
Her background as a chef.
It's unbelievable. Well, you want to hear a little bit more on her background as a chef?
No,
because
I really don't.
She's racist as well.
I wasn't always aware of the struggles of other communities of color because for me, assimilation always kind of took over. And so I did marry my proximity to whiteness continues, right? I'm my son is biracial. He's half white and half Korean, and I think navigating, what his identity is and how people perceive him is always at the back of my mind as well.
She's embarrassed that he's white, that he's part white. That's basically what she was saying.
Oh my gosh,
it's unreal. Now she's facing in the Democrat primary, which is next week. They don't vote today. The guy who is the the Milwaukee County executive. Milwaukee City, Milwaukee County is not like here. They're actually one entity. So I don't know if she's got a chance to win, but wow, she's amongst the kookiest. I mean, El Sayed's on the ballot in Michigan, and he's pretty kooky too. This is who the Democrats love. And then I'm going to play this just because it was really heartfelt, and we have a unique relationship in St. Louis with our baseball players, and we love Lars Nootbaar. He wasn't somebody that had all these expectations like Jordan Walker, so he exceeded expectations and became a fan favorite. And of course, the cheer of Newt whenever he came up to bat. And we're going to hear that again at Busch Stadium when he comes back as an Arizona Diamondback, if in fact that happens. I'm not sure if he'll land there or stay there next year, but he was traded to the Diamondbacks yesterday. His message to Cardinals fans.
Hey, Cardinal fans, Lars Nootbaar here. It's an emotional time for me. I just want to thank you guys for everything. From being an 8th round draft pick in 2018 to being on the team in 21 on that 17-game win streak, being able to play with legends in the game in 2022, winning the division, all the way to this day forward. You guys have had my back and gave me great support from a kid that wasn't a high prospect at all. You guys embraced me like I was, and St. Louis was a special place. It's the only place I've ever known, and I bought a house there and everything, and this is tough, but I just want to thank you guys so much for everything that you guys have done. You guys mean way more to me than I've ever meant to you guys, and thank you.
Yeah, he got emotional last night. That was at Yankee Stadium before he left and departed for Arizona. But he's always going to be a favorite here in St. Louis, and it's always special when they come back, no matter what team he'll be on, and we'll give him a standing ovation. So we'll have the memories of Newt.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, if you're just headed out, maybe you're just hitting the road, it's really not too bad. We've got moderate volume on westbound 40 starting around Hampton out through McCausland. Spotty traffic out west, Lake St. Louis Boulevard out through the 70 split. 70 westbound is a good bet. Eastbound is slowing at 141. And southbound 270, still some volume at Doherty Ferry. 55 looks good. On the Illinois side, westbound 5570 slows from 255 to 111 due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
Hey, Bob Kershaw is going to join us tomorrow afternoon from the Retirement Advisor Group. We're just a week away from our 4th of 5 seminars, which is always kind of crazy to say here. In the month of August, we're going to meet here a week from tonight at the DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel off of Swingley Ridge Road in Chesterfield. Very easy to get to off of 6440. So it's August 11th, next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. I'll head over there after the show. Mark and Annie will be there. They're the official financial planners of all of our shows, and this is a group setting where it's free. You don't have to do anything except tell us that you're coming. You have to reserve a spot so we have a seat for you and maybe some cookies because we serve some cookies at these events. Mark and Annie and I will kind of kick it off with some meet and greet and introducing the team. They take it from there. It's about an hour and 15 minutes total as a commitment, and you may learn a lot. And what you're going to learn is about locking in your gains from a real estate market that's or a stock market rather that's actually rocking right now. But how do you make sure you stay on the positive side of that and lock in your gains? They'll teach you that strategy. That's what they do for their clients and have been doing it for a long time. You can register today for this event at 993-9494 or online at retirementkey.com, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
You've pictured it, the garage door that finally makes your home look the way you want it to.